Chapter 461. Exploding bombs. The people of the Heavenly Court are truly efficient. They've already finished making explosives in such a short amount of time. Send it over. Ding dong. Not long later, a bright red packet appeared on Yu Lao's chat interface. Tap. You received Yu Lao's red packet. Bomb X10. Yi Zichen clicked open the treasure chest, and noticed that there was indeed a pitch-black ball that looked like a tank shell in his inventory, with a fuse on top of it. Bomb, dangerous item. Has extremely strong area damage and extremely strong destructive power. Use with caution. Yi Zichen scratched his head, then took out the bomb from his phone. When the bomb appeared in his line of sight, he noticed that it was a tank shell. I didn't expect the Heavenly Court to actually make something for war. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth, then placed the bomb beside the black crystal mine and took out a lighter from his pocket. Sizzle, as the fuse slowly burned, Yi Zichen hurriedly cast all the buffs he could on it, then retreated backwards. Boom! The huge explosion instantly caused quite a few people near the mine to look over. The moment they turned around, they saw a pillar of fire shoot into the sky, while thick smoke filled the air. What happened? Lil Yu immediately rushed over from afar. The power of the explosion just now was terrifying. In terms of attack power, the explosion just now was about the same as the explosion of a complete stage human immortal. Stone also raised his eyebrows when he saw the location. He quickly put down the mining hammer in his hand and ran over. Why did such a huge commotion happen? Lil Yu hugged her shoulders with a frown. The smoke in front of her was truly too thick, so she was unable to enter at all. Stone also frowned, while he muttered in his heart, "Please don't let anything happen." After a full quarter of an hour, the thick smoke became a little lighter. Lil Yu and Stone used their spiritual energy to blow away the smoke in front of them. When they walked closer, they saw a man who looked like a black ghost, with smoke rising from his hair, continuously picking up the black crystals on the ground. What kind of shitty thing is this? It's so heavy, a mutter sounded out from within the smoke. Muttering words came from the smoke. Stone raised his eyebrows and walked over with a suspicious expression. Brother Lil Yi. Hey, big brother Stone, Yi Zichen smiled. Yi Zichen smiled. Since he didn't calculate the direction of the explosion properly, he was caught up in it as well. Fortunately, his invincible Vajra body had reached the second tier, and coupled with the defensive power of the Dragon Clan, he was able to survive. It really is you. Stone froze for a moment, then glanced at the mineral vein at the side. Brother, you actually managed to mine it? What's so hard about that? Yi Zichen twitched his mouth with a smile, but occasionally glanced towards Lil Yu. Didn't this woman like to make things difficult for him? His blast just now had blown up the mine. Did you really cause the commotion just now? Lil Yu also frowned, then looked at Yi Zichen in confusion. That shouldn't be the case. According to her detection, he should at most have the strength of a false spiritual body. Why did he release such a powerful energy attack just now? Could it be that this brat had been hiding his strength all along? If he really was an ascender, he would definitely have some strength. Although the chances of him causing such a huge commotion were slim, it was not impossible. But why did he hide his strength? Lil, you couldn't find a reason for Yi Zichen to do so. Shouldn't he display his strength after ascending, then enter a few spiritual academies as fast as possible, then take up a post in the Three Realms? Wait, why are you looking at me like that? Yi Zichen tilted his head. He really didn't like people looking at him with such a judgmental gaze. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes towards the woman. Just as he was about to return to his work, F***CK, it's a black crystal. Stone picked up a black crystal the size of a palm from the ground. However, such a small piece of ore was very difficult for a muscular man like him to carry. What? Black crystal? Lil Yu was also shocked. She quickly reached out towards the palm-sized ore in Stone's hand. Heavy. This density combined with this transparency, it was indeed a black crystal. She had thought that it was merely black iron ore, which was rarer than brass. She didn't expect it to be a black crystal ore. Just how did you manage to mine the black crystal ore? Were you hiding your strength from the start? Lil Yu turned around and looked at Yi Zichen. Only experts of the elder level and above from large families could mine black crystal ores. Could this ascender truly have the strength of a human immortal? If he really does, then our spiritual breeze village might have the strength to protect this black crystal mine. But if he doesn't, I didn't hide my strength. I was able to mine it because of this. Yi Zichen pointed at the bomb in his hand. This is something I researched in the place I used to live. Its explosive power is extremely strong, so I used it to blow up this mine. Then how many do you have left? Lil Yu frowned. 9. Yu Lao had given him a total of 10. Since he had used one just now, he had 9 left. Use these 9 as fast as you can now. Blow up as many black crystals as you can. After that, all of the spiritual breeze village's people will leave this mine. We don't want this mine anymore. Why not? Stone raised his eyebrows in confusion. I'll explain the details to you later. Ignoring the fact that the value of black crystals is much higher than the brass and whatnot. If it really happens as I predicted, then this mine isn't a matter of whether we want it or not, it's a matter of whether we dare to take it or not. Lil Yu bit her lips, then looked towards Yi Zichen and bowed. Please. Boom! 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 Scalp-numbing explosions continuously sounded out in the mountain range behind the spiritual breeze village, while countless black crystals fell after the explosions. Yi Zichen naturally put away all of the black crystals with his phone. It wasn't that he wanted to take it all for himself, it was mainly because the spiritual breeze villagers couldn't move them at all. It took at least 4 men to move a palm-sized piece of black crystal, which greatly affected their efficiency. Of course, all of the black crystals disappeared without a trace. Lil Yu merely glanced at Yi Zichen in confusion without saying anything. From the looks of it, this ascender isn't as simple as I thought. There are ways to mine black crystals, as well as extremely rare spatial divine artifacts. If his strength is truly that of a false spiritual body, then he definitely has the support of a large family. If that wasn't the case, then this fellow had been hiding his strength from them. Lil Yu clenched her fist and stared at Yi Zichen's back. If you're going to pretend, then pretend properly. Chapter 462. A leak of information never arouses a woman's curiosity. Take Xiaoyu as an example. Originally, she had quite a strong opinion of Yi Zichen, but ever since she became curious about him, Yi Zichen did not have any peace the entire way. When they finally returned to the village, Xuelan, who was picking wildflowers, stood at the entrance of the village to welcome them with a smile. Sister Xiaoyu. He ran over and handed the wildflowers to Xiaoyu. Who is this person? Why haven't I seen him before? Xuelan tilted her head and looked at Yi Zichen, whose face was as black as charcoal. She subconsciously took 2 steps forward and twitched her nose. Are you Zichen Gij? You found out. Yi Zichen scratched his head with a coy smile. Hearing that, Xuelan chuckled, then turned around and ran towards the back. As she ran, she turned around and shouted, "Wait for me, I'll go get a towel for you to wipe your face." This girl has been very sensitive to smells since she was young, Lil Yu explained with a smile. Yi Zichen looked towards her in confusion. Was this woman smiling? Damn, it seemed like their relationship wasn't harmonious at all. It was just mining, yet their relationship had changed so much. However, Yi Zichen couldn't help but think of Lulu when it came to recognizing people by scent. I haven't seen this girl in a long time. If I'm not wrong, she should be in the 3 realms right now. He wondered if he would have the chance to meet her in the future. A few minutes later, Xuelan ran over with a basin of water and a towel. Behind her was Xueqi. At the same time, Yi Zichen hurriedly took the basin and wiped his face, while Xuelan looked at him with a silly smile. You're back. How was the harvest? Xueqi smiled faintly. Xiao Yu narrowed her eyes and looked at the surrounding villagers, then raised her eyebrows. Everyone, please go back. As for the harvest in the mine, we will calculate it later. I have something to say to the village chief and deputy village chief. The men who went to the mine nodded and left. Xuelon blinked her small eyes and looked around. I have to go too? You go too. Yi Zichen, you stay. Yi Zichen, who was about to leave with the villagers, stopped. Xuelon giggled as she picked up the towel and basin. What happened? This is not the place to talk. Let's find a safer place. Spiritual Breeze Village's ancestral hall. What caused Yi Zichen to smile wryly was that the person worshipped there was actually his idiotic brother, Yang Jian. In the ancestral hall, Xue Qi's eyebrows were tightly knitted together as he looked at the black crystals on the ground. Black crystal? How could an ore of this quality appear in the vein? Will it be normal if it's mined? Stop dreaming, okay? Do you believe that the extracted ore is normal? Lil Yu rolled her eyes speechlessly, then looked meaningfully at Yi Zichen. You have to ask him. Everyone in the ancestral hall looked towards Yi Zichen. Sensing his gaze. Don't look at me. I don't know how I became like this. Initially, when he used his phone to store the black crystals, they were just scattered black crystals. However, once he placed them inside the treasure chest, they automatically became like this. Now the phone showed that it was Black Crystal X174. 3. God knows how that 03 came out. Never mind, that's not the main point. The main problem right now is the lockdown of information. Lil Yu changed the topic. Xiao Yu changed the topic. During the mining process, there were many people present. I'm afraid, impossible, the villagers wouldn't leak it to the outside world. Xue Qi directly interrupted Lil. Xue Qi, you always think like that, Lil Yu sighed. Xiao Yu sighed softly and said, Why do you believe that no one in the village will be bribed by the outside world? I know my villagers the best. They definitely aren't that kind of people. Xue Qi continuously shook his head. Xue Qi kept shaking his head. It was almost impossible for him to suspect that there was a mole in their village. Lil Yu merely smiled in response to Xue Qi's thoughts. It's not up to you to decide whether or not there is a mole. My suggestion is for us to take the villagers and leave overnight. The black crystals we mined are more than enough for our village to buy a piece of land in the nearby city and develop to a higher level. Before Xue Qi could speak, a small head popped in from outside the ancestral hall. Lil Lan, why are you here? Xue Qi frowned. Xuelon stuck out her tongue and said, The victorious village's Zhou family is here. They brought a lot of people. Brother Dopey has already brought our village's people to confront them. I'm just here to tell you guys. Xue Qi's face instantly froze. Lil Yu also smiled faintly. So this is the village you trust? This is the name of the village that you trust? Even the Zhou family is here. What else do you have to say? Maybe there was a leak during the mining. Xue Qi still didn't believe that there was a mole in the village. Even now, Xue Qi still didn't believe that there was a mole in the village. Xiao Yu shrugged and said, All right, since that's what you said, I won't insist. Let's go out and take a look. The Zhou family isn't easy to deal with. At the village entrance, Zhou Zhenhe stood outside the rubble with a white-haired elder beside him. Behind them were the Zhou family's guest chamberlains and a group of thugs. As for the villagers of Victorious Village, there was none. At a time like this, the Zhou family didn't want to share a piece of the cake with the villagers. The Zhou family could eat the cake themselves. I don't want to talk to a small fry like you. Go, call Xue Qi over. Zhou Zhenhe's tone was filled with disdain. The leader of the Spiritual Breeze Village's side was a bare-chested man. He looked forward with a frown, then clenched his teeth and cursed. Our village chief isn't someone that a scum like you can see whenever you want. Are you talking about me? Zhou Zhenhe's eyebrows instantly darkened. All of a sudden, a guest chamberlain appeared behind him and slapped Dopey's face. Slap. His teeth flowed out along with blood, while the right half of his face also turned pale. I said that you're a small fry, so do what small fry should do. Is that something you can call a scum? Slap. At that moment, a stone flew through the air. Zhou Zhenhe was caught off guard, and was directly hit by the stone, leaving a huge bruise on his forehead. He looked up and saw Yi Zichen, Xueqi and company walk over side by side. Who? Are you blind? Of course it's lousy. Yi Zichen tossed the stone in his hand, while his tone was filled with disdain. You again. Zhou Zhenhe's expression darkened. However, he quickly let out an unbridled laugh. You must be the ascender of spirit wind, a false spirit body. Hee Xueqi, you've really put on a tiger's skin. Xueqi was momentarily stunned, but he quickly relaxed. With the Zhou family's current status, it was far too easy for them to invite the imperial ranking guards to a meal and get some information. He had long since thought that he would be exposed, but he didn't think that it would happen so early, especially at this time. But just as Zhou Zhenhe was laughing unbridledly, another stone was thrown at his head. This time, the position of the horns was symmetrical. It looked as if he had grown 2 horns on his head. Chapter 463. 1 tower, 1 clan, 3 gates and 6 pavilions. Zhou Zhenhe's face darkened. He had never met such a pretentious person. His strength wasn't even at the false spiritual body level, yet he dared to talk back to him. No wonder the royal guard said that the ascender sent to Spiritual Breeze Village was an idiot. He really was an idiot. Kid, do you know who you're talking to? You've said this more than 10 times. Aren't you tired of asking? Fine, let me tell you, I'm talking to my grandson. Yi Zichen laughed mockingly. Zhou Zhenhe wanted to speak up, but Xueqi walked over with a frown after arranging for someone to treat 2 balls. Zhou Zhenhe, what do you want? Xueqi's face was filled with rage, and his right hand was tightly clenched into a fist. He actually dared to insult the name of his village in front of him. He simply didn't put the village chief in his eyes. Unfortunately, the Zhou clan was very powerful. They were mainly afraid of that false earth immortal. His identity as an ascender had already been exposed. If that false earth immortal came, he had no choice but to endure. Xueqi, I think you're a smart person. Of course, we're here for that mine. Zhou Zhenhe smiled indifferently, his fingers constantly fiddling with the white jade beads on his wrist. Hearing his meaningful words, Xueqi's expression immediately darkened. As expected, they had come for the black crystal mine. He subconsciously looked at the name of the village behind him. He did not want to admit that someone had deliberately leaked the news. But, if it wasn't someone who leaked it, then how did they find out about it? If it was just a simple mining leak, then it wouldn't just be Victorious Village. Given the importance of the Black Crystal Mine in the 3 realms, even the large clans near the capital cities would flock to it. Surnamed Zhou, if you want to snatch the treasure from our village with just the people in your family, aren't you being a little too arrogant? Stone grinned and snorted. If he didn't take that false earth immortal expert into account, the strength of their 2 villages was about the same. A boorish man will always be a boorish man. Do you think I'll do something I'm not sure of? As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Zhenhe turned around and bowed with an apologetic smile. Brother-in-law, thank you for your trouble. The expressions of Xueqi's group instantly changed. Not long after, a middle-aged man wearing a black robe appeared behind Zhou Zhenhe and the others. The back of the robe was branded with a fiery cloud. According to what I said before, I want half of the black crystals. Of course. Half of the black crystals will naturally be yours, and half of the mining rights will also be given to you. Zhou Zhenhe smiled humbly. Although he called him brother-in-law, he didn't have any status in front of this man. What was even more ridiculous was that Zhou Zhenhe's father, who was obviously the man's father-in-law, could only smile awkwardly and did not dare to say a word. I understand. The man nodded indifferently and took a step forward. The spiritual pressure of a false earth immortal instantly filled the surrounding air. The powerful spiritual energy made it difficult for the people from the spiritual breeze village to breathe. Kid from the Shui clan, hand over the black crystal ore. I don't want to kill, but if you don't listen to me. Creak. This was going too far. Shui Qi glared at the man. At that moment, Shuelan was unable to endure the pressure and fell towards the ground. Yi Zichen subconsciously turned around and hugged her, then subtly transferred a bit of spiritual energy into her. Zichen Gij. At that moment, her face was as pale as paper, but it was unable to hide her beauty. The false earth immortal's face flickered and he slowly took a few steps forward. What a beautiful girl! She should be the Shui family's daughter, right? I didn't think that she would actually become so pretty after not seeing her for a few years. This sovereign has changed his mind. Let this girl be my concubine. This sovereign will take half of the black crystal ore, and leave the rest for your spiritual breeze village. I'll also give you the mining rights of the entire mine. How about it? Although the man's words were a question, his tone was unquestionable. His absolute strength had the absolute right to speak here. If the spiritual breeze village wanted to continue developing, then this was the only choice they could make. However, the expressions of the Zhou family's people turned rather ugly. They did not call this person over for this kind of result. Brother-in-law. The man instantly squinted his eyes. The Zhou family's people lowered their heads without even daring to breathe. Our family's little sister should have been betrothed to an outer sect disciple of the Azure Sky Pavilion. Mengda, do you want to challenge the authority of the Azure Sky Pavilion? Shui Qi scolded with a frown. The man smiled with disdain. An outer sect disciple of the Azure Sky Pavilion. Ignoring whether the Azure Sky Pavilion will support a puny outer sect disciple like him, just the Azure Sky Pavilion alone? Could it be that the Azure Sky Pavilion is stronger than our Fire Cloud Gate? Fire Cloud Gate. Lil Yu, who was on the side, was also shocked. The division of the three realms was very clear. The sky was the heavenly court, the earth was the underworld, the rogue immortal region and the endless beast region were in the middle. Ignoring the beast region, the Lingfeng village that Yi Zichen's village was at was located in the eastern continent. The factions were divided into 1 tower, 2 clans, 3 gates, and 4 pavilions. The 4 pavilions were already something that people of their level could only look up to. As for the 3 gates, they did not even dare to think about it. Hey, you know about the Fire Cloud Gate? Don't waste time with this sovereign. Make your choice. It's just the Fire Cloud Gate. What's there to be happy about? Suddenly, a faint laughter sounded out in the sky. This sudden noise immediately made the surrounding people subconsciously look around. It's fine if you're just a tower or a clan, but the Fire Cloud Gate? This sovereign will protect the spiritual breeze village. If you don't want to die. *CK off. The final rebuke went straight into Meng Da's mind, causing him to cough up a mouthful of blood. He looked up into the sky in shock. Just who is causing trouble in the dark? Do you dare to show your face? If this sovereign comes out, do you think you'll still be able to speak? The cold laughter sounded out in the sky once again. Not long later, the materialized Xianyuan Xiang played with her hair and looked at Mengda with a smile. Don't piss off my master. He doesn't have a good temper. And who are you? Mengda glared at her. Xianyuan Xiang shrugged, then waved her finger, causing several beams of sword energy to shoot towards him. Crap! The moment the sword energy appeared, Mengda quickly took out the sword on his back and poured all of his spiritual energy into it. Ding! The moment the sword energy came into contact with the sword, it immediately snapped in half. Mengda quickly moved to the side, but even so, the sharp sword energy still cut into his face. Blood flowed down his face, but his heart was filled with shock. His esteemed master had personally refined that sword for him. Even a human immortal level expert would find it hard to snap it in half. At the same time, Xianyuan Xiang played with her hair again with a smile. Chapter 464. Who was the master? Divine artifact, you're the sword-type artifact spirit of divine artifacts. Meng Da's eyes were filled with shock. He never expected to meet an expert with a divine artifact here. From the artifact spirit's attack, it was at the human immortal stage. Meng Da didn't dare to imagine how strong the master of the divine artifact was. He was only a false earth immortal. According to his master, his strength was only at the entry level when he entered the mortal world. His master was a human immortal. That was a height he couldn't even look up to. Sorry for disturbing you, Lord. I'll leave now. Meng Da turned and left without any hesitation. The Zhou family seemed to want to say something, but they didn't dare to speak after being glared at by Meng Da. For a moment, Zhou Zhenhe felt the chill from his head to the soles of his feet. Their Zhou family relied on Meng Da. How could the spiritual breeze village have such a master protecting them? Let's go. Zhou Zhenhe led his villagers away with a dark expression. At this moment, Xianyuan Xiang jumped in front of him. I'm sorry, but my master has ordered that you must pay for beating up the people from the spiritual breeze village. Bang! A punch landed on Zhou Zhenhe's body. Instantly, blood sprayed out of his mouth. Xianyuan Xiang's punch directly broke his meridians. If he couldn't find some elixir or medicine, he could only be a normal person for the rest of his life. Scram! Go, go, go! Zhou Zhenhe's father hurriedly told people to carry him away. The spiritual breeze villagers looked at this scene in shock, but they soon laughed in joy. Thank you very much for your help. The spiritual breeze village's leaders all walked over. Xianyuan Xiang shrugged with a smile. Don't thank me. It was all my master's doing. I wonder if that master can show himself? We're willing to give up all our black crystals as thanks. Xueqi raised his eyebrows. Their spiritual breeze village was still too weak. They needed someone who could protect their village. Since this master had a good impression of their village, then forget it. My master already has me here. Do you think he needs those black crystals? Xianyuan Xiang smiled faintly, then raised her eyebrows and said, That's right, my master asked me to pass on a message. Please speak. If it's possible, leave this place as soon as possible. The Zhou clan and that little boy with the surname Meng will definitely not let this matter rest. With the black crystals in your village, even if you go to the capital city, you will only have better prospects. That's all I have to say. Take care. Whoosh. With that, Xianyuan Xiang disappeared from everyone's sight. Xueqi looked back at the village in a daze. This was the land that they had lived on for nearly 1,000 years. Did they have to leave just like that? Old Xue, is that person the ascender from our village? It was so strong. But why does she have a master? Didn't she just ascend? However, this ascender is really good-looking. Stone walked over with his tiger-like eyes. Even now, he still hadn't realized that Xianyuan Xiang was actually an artifact spirit. This person was just too stubborn. He wouldn't understand what he was thinking unless someone else explained it to him. Xueqi, who had lived with him for so many years, understood him very well. Thus, he rolled his eyes at Stone, then looked towards Yizichen. So amazing! How can a woman be so amazing when she's so pretty? Is her master even more amazing? Yizichen continuously muttered. Stone, who was on the side, hooked his arm around Yizichen's shoulder with a laugh. Brat, don't be discouraged. Work hard. We might not be able to find someone stronger than that woman, but we can find a wife prettier than that woman. Seriously? How can I imagine that he's that master? Xueqi shook his head with a sigh. I've already checked when I arrived. I can't find a false spiritual body. That master is definitely terrifyingly strong. He definitely can't be the same person as me. Seriously, too many things have happened recently, causing me to be unable to think clearly. Stone, Lil, you come with me to the ancestral hall. The rest of you disperse. At the ancestral hall of the victorious village, Xueqi and company sat down on the cushions together after offering incense to Yang Jian respectfully. Lil Yu bit her lips and glanced at Xueqi. That master told us to leave as well. What do you think? I'm not too sure either, Xueqi sighed. Xueqi let out a faint sigh. The villagers have lived here for so long. Letting them go. This is all for the sake of better development, Lil Yu comforted on the side. Xiao Yu tried to comfort him. She was definitely in favor of moving away. Since the news was leaked, then more and more people will come to cause trouble for their village. They have a master protecting them this time, but they can't rely on a master to protect them every single time. If you don't want to be bullied, the best way is to become stronger. If the spiritual breeze village could produce a few earth immortals, then who would dare to bully them? Never mind, let's find Yi Zichen tomorrow. We'll go to the capital to sell the black crystals and buy a manor. But be careful. The capital is a mess of people. I know, Xueqi replied plainly. Lil Yu rolled her eyes. I'm telling Stone. He's a one-track mind, I'm afraid that he'll cause trouble. Hey, you little girl, how am I a one-track mind? Stone frowned unhappily. Lil Yu immediately shrugged helplessly. Xueqi also raised his brows. Xueqi also raised his eyebrows. All right, enough. Xueqi pushed Stone down, then turned towards Lil Yu. Do you think that master could be, you mean him? Lil Yu shook her head. I don't think it's possible. I can't deny that he's very mysterious, but if he can take out a divine artifact with an artifact spirit, then he has to be an expert above the sky immortal level, right? Do you think it's him? All right, I was thinking too much. Xueqi bitterly smiled and shook his head. He stood up from his cushion and said, Let's disperse. We'll head to the capital tomorrow. No, who are you guys talking about? Laozi doesn't understand. There's no need to understand. Hurry up and go back to sleep with your wife. Lil Yu rolled her eyes speechlessly, then left the ancestral hall. Is this woman bleeding? Why is she always making life difficult for Laozi? Stone raised his eyebrows in annoyance. Are you an idiot? With that, Xueqi also rolled his eyes and left, leaving Stone scratching his bald head. Old Xue is bleeding as well. Why didn't Laozi bleed before? Why did you make me do it just now? Wouldn't it have been better if you did it yourself? Xianyuan Xiang swung her legs and raised her eyebrows. Yi Zichen, who did 2 sets of sit-ups, smiled. I feel like this is pretty good. I think this is pretty good. If I reveal my identity, do you think they will still treat me like this? Definitely not, Xianyuan Xiang answered without thinking. Yi Zichen was not surprised by her answer at all and shrugged. Isn't that so? I don't want to attract so much attention. Being a minor in their village is pretty good. Creak. At that moment, the door to the room was pushed open. Xuelon poked her head out and came in from the outside. After entering the room, she started sniffing around. Not long later, she walked in front of Yi Zichen. Chapter 465. The capital. Yi Zichen yawned as he sat on the bumpy carriage. He had never had a good night's sleep. That was why he was woken up by Stone and company before the sun even rose. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Are you a pig? Why do you always look like you can't wake up? Lil Yu glared angrily at Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes at her without replying. Did I want to do that? It's all because that girl, Xuelon, tormented me the night before. Ahem, don't get the wrong idea. They didn't do anything, it was just that girl who kept asking him if he was the master. How can a human's nose be so good? Xianyuan Xiang was clearly a spiritual body, but he was actually able to find her through her aura. Yi Zichen couldn't help but shake his head as he thought back to what happened the night before. He had even activated the fiery eyes of truth in order to determine whether the girl was a human or not. However, she was indeed a normal person and was only around the level of body tempering. Of course, the girl could smell Xianyuan Xiang's location, but she couldn't see it. Yi Zichen naturally had to use his ability to lie without blushing, and continuously deny the fact that the master was him. Despite that, Yi Zichen's gaze toward Xuelon seemed to be filled with disbelief when she left. "Village chief, we're here," the villager driving the carriage shouted. Yi Zichen and company immediately jumped off the carriage. "Thanks for your hard work. Hurry back." "All right." After the villager drove the carriage away, everyone looked up and saw the glorious city in front of them. Z's, it's rather grand. Yi Zichen had seen everything in the modern realm. Although the city was built rather grand, no matter how grand it couldn't be as grand as the modern realm's palace. What a joke! Oh my God, just how many times bigger is this place compared to our village? Stone acted like an idiot who just entered the city. Xueqi patted his shoulder to signal him to stop yelling. Actually, it was his first time in the city as well, so he was rather shocked by the grand buildings in front of him. "How many?" The guards at the city gates, who were wearing black metal armor, asked. Lil Yu smiled. 4. "Do you have a permit?" "No." Xiao Yu shook her head and took out 2 silver coins from her pocket and handed them to the guard. "We want a temporary residence permit for 7 days. N. The guard nodded and 4 tokens appeared in his hand. "The tokens will disappear in 7 days and you will be automatically expelled from the capital city." "Understood." Once they entered the city, Stone opened his eyes wide and said, "What's the matter with you? You need to pay to stay here. 20 immortal shells for 7 days, that's too expensive." "This is nothing. We're only entering the city. If we stay in an inn, it'll be even more expensive," Xiao Yu smiled faintly. At that moment, Xueqi raised his eyebrows. "The spiritual energy here, do you feel it?" Because the capital city was protected by a formation, the spiritual energy here was easier for people to absorb. Therefore, most powerful people would stay in the capital city. Of course, if you can buy property here, you can stay here permanently. If our villagers can live here, can you imagine to what extent we will develop in the future? Xiao Yu squinted her eyes with a smile. She knew a lot more than Xueqi and company. It was because she knew about the situation in the capital that she came to the city. This is truly a great place. It would be great if everyone in the village could live here. Xueqi was also moved. Xueqi's expression also changed. In just a short period of time, he felt as if his strength had increased. He truly didn't dare to imagine what would happen if their villagers could stay here all year round. But, just now, we needed everyone to have a token when we came in. Could we villagers also? Naturally not. If we buy the manor, we can apply to become a force or a family. The city lord's manor's keeper will record it down, then we will be able to move freely within the city. If there are any newborns, the keeper will know immediately and automatically add them. That's amazing. Yi Zichen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he heard Xiao Yu's words. I thought that the system here would be the same as the one in the modern realm, where children would board the plane when they were born. I didn't think that it would be fully automatic here. That's amazing. The methods of a sky immortal aren't as simple as you think, Xiao Yu smiled. But the prerequisite is that we can sell these black crystals, right? Xueqi intentionally lowered his voice. We're not familiar with this place, so where are we supposed to go to sell them? About this, Xiao Yu also revealed a troubled expression. She was rather knowledgeable, but that didn't mean that she had the means to sell these black crystals. I do know a black market, but the people there, I'm afraid of them doing the same to me. F***ck. Didn't I just owe you guys a few dozen Celeste? Do you have to treat Lord Fatty like this? Did Lord Fatty spend a lot of money here before? You guys are truly heartless. At that moment, a fatty in blue clothes stood in front of a restaurant near Yi Zichen and company and cursed with his hands on his waist. 7 or 8 bulky thugs stood in front of him, along with a seductively dressed woman. Our restaurant doesn't take credit. What you spent before is what you spent before, and what you spent was voluntary. Now that you don't have money, you came here to spend? Do you think that the girls here are easy to bully? This doesn't seem like a restaurant. Why does it feel like, look at your idiot face? Isn't it just a few dozen, Celeste? Lord Fatty can tell. Do you really think that Lord Fatty has no money? Here. Slap. The fatty took out a small jade bead from his pocket and chucked it over. No need to keep the change. Just treat it as Lord Fatty's reward. Don't think about Lord Fatty coming here to spend money in the future. Also, Lord Fatty will remember your insults clearly. In a place like the capital, I think that you really don't know Lord Fatty's strength. Just wait for your shitty place to close down. With that, the fatty turned around and left with a cold smile. The seductively dressed woman didn't take his words seriously at all. She merely picked up the bead and raised her eyebrows. A low-grade spiritual bead is worth 1,000 celeste. It seems like Laonyang made a profit. The fatty felt his heart bleed when he threw the spiritual bead out. F***ck, I didn't want to throw that spiritual bead. That's a huge loss. Bang. At that moment, the fatty, who was walking with his head lowered, bumped into someone. Are you F***king blind? The person that the fatty bumped into was Yi Zichen. Actually, Yi Zichen had purposely let the fatty bump into him. Lil Yu and Xueqi, who were on the side, pulled him back. I have to be careful in the capital. Yet, Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a fake smile. Chapter 466. A small disturbance. The owner of the luxurious pawnshop waved towards Yi Zichen and company with a smile. He was in a rather good mood since he had just made a huge deal. He had earned quite a bit from selling all of the 100-odd black crystals, while Yi Zichen had saved himself the trouble of finding other channels. We look forward to working together again. Ha, Lord Fatty isn't going to come here next time, you scammer. Fatty Een twitched his mouth. Fatty Een curled his lips. He felt like the price was too low, but Lil Yu and the others all felt that an appropriate price was enough. They all wanted to get rid of this hot potato as soon as possible, so they didn't want to haggle over it. Fatty, that's not right. I'm a trustworthy merchant, the pawnshop owner smiled. The pawnshop owner chuckled at the side. Fatty rolled his eyes at him and waved his hand with his back facing the pawnshop owner. Then, he led the crowd away. It's fortunate that we met you here. Otherwise we really wouldn't know what to do, Yi Zichen smiled. Black crystals were priced at 50,000 celestial shells per unit, and 100 or so black crystals were sold for 8 million or so. It wouldn't be too hard to buy a manor in the capital with that much celestial shells. Xueqi and company were also brimming with excitement. Buying a manor in the capital with so many celestial shells, they had already thought of the future development of the village. Lord Fatty didn't expect to meet you here either. Fatty Een rolled his eyes. Fatty Een rolled his eyes. I'm just curious. With your strength, how did you end up in such a desolate place? You already had the strength to enter the 3 realms when you were in the modern realm, right? Ahem, Yi Zichen quickly coughed, then looked at Xueqi and company beside him. Seeing that they didn't notice, he glared at Fatty Een to signal him to stop talking. Still acting mysterious, Fatty Een twitched his mouth, then shrugged. Fatty Een curled his lips, then shrugged. If you want to buy a manor, then go on your own. I won't be following you. Don't worry too much about hiding your wealth. I've been in the capital for so many years, but I, Lord Fatty, have never seen anyone who dares to openly rob people. You're not coming with us? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. I finally met someone I know in the 3 realms, so I don't really want him to leave so quickly. What's the point of going with you guys? Do I have to pay? Just do what you need to do. If you have any trouble, I will know. That's all. See you later. With that, Fatty Een left in the opposite direction with his hands behind his back. Only after he disappeared did Xueqi and the others speak. Why did he leave? Who knows what this fatty is up to? Don't worry about him, we'll just buy our own. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth. At that moment, Stone hooked his arm around Yi Zichen's shoulder. little bro, Laozi is truly curious about you. You have a spatial divine tool, and you're even able to meet acquaintances in the capital city. You even have a sales channel. Don't tell me you're a disciple of some great clan. Hearing Stone's words, Xueqi and Xiao Yu also looked at him in confusion. This ascender was indeed a little too mysterious, and there was also that mysterious expert who had inexplicably helped him that day. Xueqi knew that the expert wouldn't be targeting him, let alone their village. Yi Zichen was there as well. Could that master have wanted to protect him? Can you guys not look at me like that? Let's hurry up and buy the manor. The villagers are still waiting for us. Yi Zichen replied guiltily. Lil, you looked at him meaningfully a few times, then nodded. That's right. Let's go buy a manor. Da-da-da. At this moment, the sound of galloping horses suddenly rang out in the middle of the street. Everyone turned around and saw a man with 7 or 8 men in official robes galloping in the middle of the street. Who are they? Aren't horses not allowed in the city? Xueqi raised his eyebrows in confusion. Hearing this, Xiao Yu pouted. Is there a need to think about it? It must be a big shot that ordinary people can't afford to offend. Let's not think too much about it. Let's just go and buy our garden. You're right. Yi Zichen nodded. Just as he was about to leave, he noticed a woman carrying a little boy in the middle of the road in front of him. Judging from the speed of the woman's horse and their walking speed, they shouldn't be able to dodge in time. Whoosh! Yi Zichen's figure flashed, and he shielded the woman and child in his arms. At the same time, he reached out and slapped the horse. Bzz bzz bzz. The horse raised its front hooves in fright, and the handsome young man on its back also fell off the horse. Young master! Everyone hurriedly gathered around them. Yi Zichen turned around and patted the little fellow's head, then smiled and said, Don't worry about it. Hurry up and leave. Thank you, thank you. The woman repeatedly nodded in thanks, then left in a hurry. At that moment, Xueqi and company also noticed that Yi Zichen had disappeared. Where did Yi Zichen go? Look, isn't that him? Stone pointed at Yi Zichen, who was in a standoff with the riders in the middle of the road with a frown. This guy really knows how to cause trouble. Xiao Yu bit her lips. These people didn't look like they should be provoked. Let's go and take a look. The handsome young man on horseback had fallen quite heavily. With the help of the others, he walked in front of Yi Zichen. The woman and the child just now, let's go. Yi Zichen replied plainly. If you think that they startled your horse and want to blame them, then you don't have to. I flipped your horse over. How are you talking to my big brother? The young man beside the handsome young man spoke up. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes at him, then continued, This is the road for people to walk in the city, not for you guys to ride on horses. This is a road for people to walk in the capital, not a road for you to ride on horseback. If you like to ride on horseback, then ride outside. I'm really sorry, we were in a bit of a hurry. That's why. The handsome young man replied apologetically. Yi Zichen could tell from his tone that he shouldn't be some wastrel who liked to tease commoners, causing his cold expression to soften a little. You guys have to look after people if you're in a hurry. Never mind, I'm in a hurry too, so I won't bullshit with you guys so much. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes, then glanced at Xueqi and the others, who were anxiously signaling him with their eyes. Hey, do you know who we are? You dare to speak to us like that? The handsome young man's little brother raised his hand to stop him. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and slapped his arm away, then walked towards Xueqi and company without looking back. What terrifying power! The handsome young man's little brother swung his arm, then looked towards Yi Zichen with a hint of passion in his eyes. The handsome young man also squinted his eyes and looked at him with interest. Hey, what's your name? Yi Zichen, who was about to leave, turned around when he heard the young man's voice after listening to Lil Yu and company's worried complaints. Yi Zichen. Chapter 467. Chapter 467, Buying a House. Yi Zichen. The handsome young man smiled faintly and squinted his eyes. The men behind him also walked over at this moment and said. At the same time, the men behind him also walked over. Young master, the time we agreed on with the city lord's manor is about to, tell him to wait, I'm rather interested in that brat just now. Follow them. With that, the handsome young man wanted to get on his horse. However, just as he was about to do so, he suddenly recalled Yi Zichen's words. Store them, we're going on foot. At that moment, Lil Yu continued to nag beside Yi Zichen. All along the way, even Rock became slightly impatient from listening to them, and he raised his brows as he spoke. Why are you so talkative? It's just a small matter. Is there a need to talk for so long? What do you mean a small matter? It's fortunate that the person just now didn't have a bad personality. Do you know how dangerous it would be if he was a dandy? Lil Yu glared. Yi Zichen scratched his head and raised his eyebrows. All right, I was wrong. All right, I was wrong. Please don't scold me anymore. I won't dare to do it again. At this moment, everyone arrived at the real estate sales center. Xiao Yu's mouth, which had not been idle, finally stopped. The real estate center in the city felt quite similar to the modern realm. There were also miniature models for you to look at. Hello, we have our eyes on that 7 million yuan manor. Just pay directly, the sales lady replied plainly. Xueqi and company replied plainly. Xueqi and company did not show any displeasure towards that, and merely looked towards Yi Zichen for him to pay. After Yi Zichen paid the money, the sales lady handed him a key. Lil Li, is the peony garden I saw the other day still there? I'm going to buy it this time. A middle-aged man wearing armor suddenly appeared at the checkout counter. When the real estate sales lady saw him, her expression immediately changed. Of course it is. Captain Liu, please wait a moment. With that, the sales lady flipped through the sales record book. Lil Yu blinked on the side, then raised her eyebrows. Of course it is. Lil Yu blinked, then raised her eyebrows. It seems like we bought the peony garden just now. Xueqi couldn't help but nod when he saw the sign, then turned towards the sales lady. You already sold the peony garden to us just now. Sold it to you? The sales lady frowned, and Captain Liu frowned as well. What's going on? Didn't I tell you to keep it for me for a few days? How did it get sold? Captain Liu, don't worry. Then she poured out the 7 million Celeste she had just received from Yi Zichen and company from her spatial pouch. I'll return the money to you. Give me back the badge I gave you earlier. You can do that when buying a house here? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. The real estate sales lady also snorted. Why not? Captain Liu needs this courtyard. If you guys know what's good for you, then give it to him. I'm really... Yi Zichen had never encountered such a ridiculous plot in his life. If it was him, he really wanted to slap the real estate sales lady. Of course, Captain Liu wasn't a good person either. Xiao Yu shook her head at the side. They were unfamiliar with this place, so it was best not to cause trouble. Give it back to them. I saw other good gardens in other places just now. Here. The real estate sales lady slammed the badge onto the table, then smiled proudly and handed it back to Captain Liu. All of a sudden, a badge flew through the air and embedded itself into the wall. I'm taking all 13 gardens near the city lord's manor in the East District. Who dares to cause trouble in my territory? Captain Liu frowned. When he turned around to look at the people who had arrived, his expression instantly changed. Is there a problem? An indifferent yet unquestionable tone sounded out. At that moment, Yi Zichen and company also turned around and saw that it was the handsome young man that they had met on the way. And no. Captain Liu, who was extremely arrogant just a moment ago, answered with a trembling voice. The handsome young man narrowed his eyes and smiled. Hearing that, the handsome young man squinted his eyes and smiled. Leave the badge behind, then leave. Captain Liu placed the badge on the table, without any hesitation, and left dejectedly. The handsome young man waved his hand towards the badge embedded in the wall, causing it to automatically return to his hand. During this process, Yi Zichen intentionally glanced at the token. There seemed to be the word Earth on the token, but he wasn't sure if it was Earth or not. It flew so fast that he didn't have time to see it clearly. I didn't think we'd meet again, Yi Zichen. The handsome young man walked over with a smile, while the young man behind him also shook his head towards Yi Zichen with a smile. We want longevity garden. Yi Zichen completely ignored him, but the handsome youth wasn't angry. Instead, he walked over with a smile. I want all the gardens in the Eastern District. It seems that Longevity Garden is among them. But if you want to buy the Peony Garden, I can let you have it. It's fine if you look like a sissy, but why are you so bad at doing things? Yi Zichen frowned in annoyance. Fine, we won't buy the gardens in the East District. We'll give them all to you, all right? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes, then left after paying for a courtyard in the West District. The handsome young man rubbed his chin with his slender fingers and raised his eyebrows with interest. You said I'm a sissy. I told you not to dress like that when we came, but you didn't believe me. You look a bit sissy like that. The handsome young man's younger brother twitched his mouth speechlessly. The handsome young man's younger brother pouted speechlessly. The young man raised his hand and hit him on the head. You're everywhere. As soon as he finished speaking, he told the man behind them to buy the rest of the gardens in the West District and raised his eyebrows. Come, follow him. I don't believe that I can't chat with him for more than 10 sentences. Just as he was about to follow Yi Zichen, a group of people appeared at the entrance of the real estate center. The person leading the group was a bulky man with a square face, City Lord. The people in the real estate center quickly bowed. The handsome young man's younger brother also raised his eyebrows. Z's, it seems like we can't keep up this time. TSK, looks like he can't keep up this time, but this city lord is really impatient. The handsome young man also patted his forehead with a look of helplessness, then walked towards the city lord with a smile. The gardens in the West District were slightly smaller than the ones in the East District, so the price was naturally not much lower. However, this garden was still more than enough for Spiritual Breeze Village. Coincidentally, the Celeste left behind could be used to buy food or cultivation items. Yi Zichen, just stay here. We'll go and bring the villagers over. Sure, I don't want to waste time either. Yi Zichen nodded and watched them leave. Fong Ting, who was sitting in the garden, took out his phone. There were 10 odd messages on his social media app. He subconsciously clicked them open and noticed. Chapter 468. Su Yan's message. Su Yan. How is this possible? Why would Su Yan send me a message? Yi Zichen quickly clicked on her profile picture and looked at the time of the message. Just 10 minutes ago, all of a sudden, Yi Zichen's heart raced. Could it be that after the modern realm was frozen, Su Yan was also expelled and ascended to the 3 realms? Su Yan. Yi Zichen replied in a testing manner. The moment he sent the message, Su Yan directly sent him a video call. Gulp. Yi Zichen gulped. Except, it really is you. In the video, Su Yan covered her mouth with tears in her eyes. When Yi Zichen saw that the person in the video was truly Su Yan, he was stunned. You. He stared blankly for a long time, unable to utter a single word. Su Yan finally spoke up. At that moment, Su Yan spoke up. Kiki told me that you would definitely reply if I sent you a message. I didn't believe her. Is Kiki with you? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows in confusion. In the video, Su Yan moved to the side, while Xia Kiki also appeared and waved towards him. Hey Zichen-ji. What's going on? Why are the 2 of them together? Are you 2 still in the modern realm? Yi Zichen asked in confusion. Su Yan shook her head while Xia Kiki replied, How is that possible? How is this possible? Hasn't the modern world been frozen? Susu and I were also kicked out. We're in the 3 realms now. Zichen-ji is in the 3 realms as well, right? Why yes, that's great. It seems like we'll have a chance to meet again. Susu and I are in the south of the Endless Beast region. the territory of the dragon race and the nine-tailed fox. Zichenji, are you far away from us? If not, then come over? At the endless beast region. Yi Zichen looked over in confusion. Xianyuan Xiang crawled out from his arm and raised her eyebrows. You're currently in the northern immortal region. Right now, you're in the northern celestial region. It's thousands of miles away from the endless beast region. If you want to go there, with your current strength, it'll be difficult. Hey Zichenji, the signal isn't good. Why aren't you talking? Xia Kiki continuously waved her hands in the video, while Yi Zichen repeated Xianyuan Xiang's words to them in the video. Su Yan's expression immediately darkened. Xia Kiki also shrugged helplessly. That's true, Zichenji is a human. Alright then, Su and I will go and find you when we get stronger. Humans? Yi Zichen knew that Xia Kiki was a dragon, but shouldn't Su Yan be third miss? The medicinal bath is ready. Please. At that moment, a woman in white with two pointy ears appeared in the video. Su Yan nodded silently when she saw her, then waved towards Yi Zichen in the video. I'll be looking for you. At the same time, Xia Kiki giggled and nodded. Zichenji, bye-bye. The video ended there. Su Yan, who had turned off the video, reluctantly placed her phone to the side. Coco grabbed her hand and smiled. Don't be like that. At least we know that Zichengij is in the three realms as well. Isn't that great? Yes, you're right. Su Yan smiled warmly. At this moment, the pointy-eared woman spoke up. Young Lady Xia, do you need us to prepare a medicinal bath for you as well? Hearing that, Xia Kiki immediately shook her head like a rattle drum. I don't need it. I can't enjoy your nine-tailed fox's medicinal bath. With that, she stood up from the chair. Susu, come and play with me after this. Susu, come and find me at my place after it's over. Okay, Su Yan nodded with a smile. Su Yan faintly smiled and nodded. The pointy-eared woman once again spoke, third miss. All right, I got it. Take me over. Yi Zichen's heart was filled with shock as he sat in the pavilion. However, it was quickly replaced by uncontrollable joy. Su Yan and Kiki were both safe, and were currently in the three realms. It seems like I need to quickly increase my strength and expand my forces to meet up with them. Little fellow, don't look so far ahead. The relationship between the beast region and the human race isn't that good. If you go, Xianyuan Xiang poured cold water on Yi Zichen. Can you stop discouraging me? Give me some confidence. Oh, I see. Xianyuan Xiang nodded in understanding, then her expression changed. My master. You're the strongest, the most powerful man in the world. The endless beast region is nothing. As long as you want it, the entire three realms will be yours. Stop. Xianyuan Xiang hurriedly raised her hand to stop her and curled her lips unhappily. Why don't you let me say it? Don't you like me to give you confidence? Haha, there's no need. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes, then called out to the old dragon god in his sea of consciousness. At that moment, he already knew where Su Yan and Xia Kiki were, so he had to rush over as fast as he could. As for letting the two of them look for him, that was fine. As a man, how could he let his women run around? 3 days passed by in the blink of an eye. During these 3 days, Yi Zichen tried to break through to the human immortal level multiple times, but failed every single time. After a failed attempt, Yi Zichen opened his eyes helplessly. When he turned around, he saw that the old dragon god was also looking at him helplessly. Don't look at me, there's nothing I can do about it. You could have broken through to the human immortal level last time, but you gave up. It was very dangerous last time, Yi Zichen sighed. The old dragon god nodded. It might have been very dangerous, but you really can't break through to the human immortal level right now. You should have felt it. Every time you failed, the next attempt would be even more difficult. It might have been very dangerous, but you really can't break through to the human immortal level right now, Yi Zichen nodded. That's true. Yi Zichen nodded, then raised his eyebrows. Am I going to stay at the complete stage of the Earth immortal level forever? That's not necessary, the old dragon god shook his head. Aren't you already in the 3 realms? There's a type of grass in the 3 realms called barrier-breaking grass, which can be used to refine barrier-breaking pills. This pill is suitable for anyone below the Immortal King level. After eating it, they can directly break through regardless of the barrier. Each person can only eat one. Normally, people who eat this pill only eat it when a human immortal is breaking through to the sky immortal level. As for you, in your current situation, I feel like you can try this pill. Barrier-breaking pill. Yi Zichen suddenly pursed his lips and smiled. If it was pills, then he had. You mean the bottleneck-breaking pill? On the phone, old Lord Taishang raised his eyebrows and replied, If you had contacted me a few days earlier, I could have given it to you. Just a few days ago, my last barrier-breaking pill was taken away by that brat, Yang Jian. Then you can't refine any more? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. I can refine it, but I still need materials. The barrier-breaking grass doesn't exist in the heavenly court at all. The last barrier-breaking grass was obtained by chance when I was traveling in the lower realm. Old Lord Taishang replied indifferently. Chapter 469. Xuelan gets married. Never mind about getting the barrier-breaking pill from Yang Jian. My brother clearly needs this pill to break through to the sky immortal level from the human immortal level. It seems like I can only get the barrier-breaking grass from old Lord Taishang if I want the barrier-breaking pill. I'll find you after I find the barrier-breaking grass. Sure, then we'll contact each other then. Yi Zichen logged out of the social media app, then sat on the bed in his room in a daze. Barrier-breaking grass. Where do I get that? It should be a treasure since it can ignore the barrier. I don't even need to think about normal pharmacies. Zichen Gij. The door to the room was pushed open, and Xuelan ran in with a giggle in a white floral dress. During this period of time, all of the spiritual breeze villagers had already moved into the manor in the capital. They had already given up on the mine over there. As expected, the news of the Black Crystal mine was leaked. In less than 3 hours after they left, there were already families that dared to go there. Fortunately, all of the spiritual breeze villagers had already left. What is it? Yi Zichen put his phone back into his pocket and stretched, then rubbed Xuelan's head. Through this period of time, the girl had gotten closer to him, and would run into his room a few times a day. Big brother said that we're going to eat together, so he told me to call you. Is everyone in the village going together? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows in shock. Xuelan shook her head. No, just Lil Yujie, Big Brother Stone, me and you. That's a bit strange. Xueqi was definitely not the type of person to forget about the villagers when he had something good to do. He said that he was going out to eat with only them. All right, let's go. Yi Zichen jumped down from the bed, then walked out of the room with Lil Lan. Xueqi finally made up his mind and ordered a table of 500 celeste worth of food at a certain high-class hotel in the capital. However, what was surprising was that Lil Yu did not stop him at all, while Stone maintained a faint smile. Isn't that a bit too extravagant? Yi Zichen understood very well just how hard it was to earn celeste here. 1 celeste here was basically equivalent to 100 yuan in the modern realm, so 500 celeste was 50,000 yuan. You don't understand. Stone patted his shoulder and glanced at Xiaolan at the same time. The little lass maintained a silly and adorable smile as she tapped her lips with her finger and blinked at the food on the table. Actually, Xiaolan is getting married next week. I'll send her there after dinner. Xueqi is sending Xiaolan off. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows in confusion. At this moment, Xuelan also turned around and giggled. From the looks of it, she already knew everything. I see. Yi Zichen nodded with a smile, patted Lil Lan's head, then picked up his chopsticks and placed some food onto her plate. Eat more. The meal wasn't particularly enjoyable, especially for Xueqi. His expression was extremely ugly the entire time. Xuelon, on the other hand, was smiling from beginning to end, even though she had never seen her husband before. At the entrance of the restaurant, Xueqi held Lil Lan's hand and said goodbye to everyone. Lil Yu couldn't help but cry. At the same time, Yi Zichen also licked his lips and walked over to pat Xuelan's head. If the people over there dare to bully you, then tell Zichenji. Zichenji will go beat them up for you. Sure, Lil Lan giggled. Lil Yu couldn't help but twitch her mouth. Even the outer sect disciples of the Azure Sky Pavilion are of the spiritual body level or above. Even the outer sect disciples of the Azure Sky Pavilion are at least at the spiritual body level. I heard that Xiaolan's husband is already an inner sect disciple. That means he's at least at the false earth immortal level. What about me? I have to fight him even if I can't beat him. I can't bully my girl. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes. Xuelon giggled. Zichengij treats me the best. Xuelon giggled. Zichengij treats me the best. After chatting a bit more, Xueqi and Xuelon left together. As they left, Xuelon continuously turned around and waved towards Yi Zichen and company. Lil Yu continuously wiped away her tears. Xuelon was the little sister she had watched grow up. She really couldn't bear for her to leave just like that. Whatever, it's a good marriage for Lil Lan to marry him. What are you crying for? Stone patted Lil Yu's shoulder, but his eyes were also a bit wet. They were all children that they had watched grow up in the same village, so how could they not feel sad? See Mon, let's go back. Xueqi will give us candy when he comes back. Stone pulled Lil Yu's arm and walked back. However, at that very moment, two men appeared in front of them. Yi Zichen, what a coincidence! We meet again. The people that appeared in front of them were none other than the man that Yi Zichen called a sissy, and his little brother. Stone, go back. Don't mind me. Yi Zichen gave Stone and company. After sending them off with his gaze, Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and frowned. Say, why are you always haunting me? I say, why are you always haunting me? What exactly do you want? What do you mean, what do I want? Does this city belong to you? You're not letting me leave? The sissy man's voice was rather soft, causing Yi Zichen's ears to feel extremely uncomfortable. Seriously. Fine, I can't offend him, but can't I hide? With that, Yi Zichen walked to the side. Unexpectedly, the sissy chased after him a few steps and stopped him. The capital city is so big. It must be fate that we met 3 times. Don't you want to know my name? To be honest, I really don't want to. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth coldly. The sissy's little brother couldn't help but chuckle. It seems like he's never seen his brother get so humiliated in his life. Bang. The sissy rolled his eyes at his little brother and said, Don't worry, I'll let you go. Smile, smile, smile again. Ahem. The young man coughed violently, then forcefully suppressed his laughter. Bro, if you don't want to listen to him, then I'll speak. Let me introduce myself. My name is Zhuoliang. The sissy you mentioned is called Zhuemo. It has nothing to do with me. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes, then subconsciously looked towards the sissy, Zhuemo. TSK, this name was wasted by him. Hey, why are you so annoying? So rude. Zhuemo pouted in annoyance. Seeing that, Yi Zichen's stomach immediately flipped, causing him to nearly vomit out all of the duck liver he just ate. Were you acting like a spoiled brat just now? Yi Zichen finally managed to suppress his churning stomach, then rolled his eyes speechlessly and questioned Zhuemo. Chapter 470. Chapter 470. Guarding my daisies. Liang snickered on the side, as if he was watching a show. It's so fun to see Zhuemo get beaten up. Who asked me to keep bullying him at home? Great, now I've met my match. Zhuemo also frowned in annoyance. I've never met a man who treats me like this. However, it was precisely this sort of person that caused me to be unable to suppress my curiosity. I just want to say a few words to this man. I don't want to do anything. Then if you don't want to do anything, then hurry up and move aside. Otherwise, I'm going to beat you up. Yi Zichen glared at him with a frown. Zuemo suddenly laughed and twitched his mouth. You? His eyes were filled with disdain. Not long later, his body released a spiritual pressure that was no weaker than a human immortal's. You want to beat me up? F***ck. How can a sissy be so strong? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes speechlessly. Of course, this level of pressure did not threaten him at all. Stop showing off in front of me. If you have something to say, then say it. If not, then leave. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes speechlessly. Zuemo and Zhuoyang both raised their eyebrows in shock when they saw that he was completely fine. This person is hiding his strength. According to their detection, Yi Zichen's strength was around the false spiritual body level. When Zhuoyang said that he was strong, they thought that he was a body-tempering genius. Only now did they understand that this person was intentionally hiding his strength. Interesting. All of a sudden, Zuemo became even more curious about him. He squinted his eyes and retracted his spiritual pressure, then raised his eyebrows. I wonder which of the 6 pavilions and 3 gates you are from? The place you mentioned is too high class. I am a miner from Spiritual Breeze Village, Yi Zichen replied plainly. Miner? All right, then are you interested in following me? I can give you a salary of 1,000 celeste a day. How about it? Zuemo smiled. Yi Zichen scratched his eyebrows and twitched his mouth. I refuse. You think that's too little? Zuemo raised his eyebrows. 10,000. I don't want to go even if you give me 1,000,000. Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly. Can you tell me the reason? Zuemo asked with a light smile. I'm afraid that your sexual orientation is abnormal. If I follow you, this daisy that I've been guarding for more than 20 years will bloom for the first time with you. I want to protect my daisy. You, Zuemo bit her lips, her face as red as an apple. Zhuoyang couldn't help but laugh. He slapped his thigh and raised his eyebrows. Brother, actually, don't say it. Zuemo glared at Yi Zichen and scolded, then turned around to look at Yi Zichen. Very good, I'll remember you. Don't think about this flower of mine. Even if you break your head thinking about it, this flower is not yours. Yi Zichen replied indifferently. Zhuoyang nearly fainted from laughter. After a while, he recovered and put his hand on Zuomo's shoulder. Let's go. No matter what you say, this brother won't go with you. Why don't you try taking off your clothes? F***ck off. Zuomo scolded angrily. Haha, alright, the auction is going to start soon. Don't forget why we came here. Seriously, Zuomo bit her lips again, then stomped her feet like a little girl with a snort. Let's go. The Zhuo brothers left. After they left, Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and looked at them in confusion. There should be a lot of good treasures in an auction like this, right? I might be able to find barrier-breaking grass there. However, Yi Zichen felt extremely uncomfortable when he thought about Zuomo going there as well. Never mind, I'll be careful and not let him see me. Let's go and see if there's any barrier-breaking grass. Yi Zichen managed to sneak into the auction house without any obstructions. The auction house had a total of 9 floors. The first to 6 floors were the normal trading area, where various vendors sold various ores, spiritual herbs and other goods. The 7th, 8th and 9th floors were the auction area. The 7th floor was the normal area, while the 8th and 9th floors were the VIP areas that only people with status could stay in. As for Yi Zichen, he sat in the normal area on the 7th floor as expected. During that period of time, Yi Zichen also learned quite a bit of information. The auction house was actually just set up by the treasure tower, and the people from the treasure tower were in charge of the auction. It was rumored that anything that the treasure tower auctioned was either precious or valuable. Most of the people sitting on the first floor were there to watch the show and gain some experience. The only ones who could actually bid were the people on the 8th and 9th floors. Of course, Yi Zichen couldn't completely deny the customers on the 7th floor. After all, the saying that experts were among the people wasn't a groundless one. Thank you, everyone, for coming to our Treasure Tower's auction. We, the Treasure Tower, have never been one to waste time on idle chatter. Let's start with the first item. 2 attendants brought over a plate covered with a red cloth. When the red cloth was lifted, there was a long spear inside. Earth-grade spiritual treasure, wind-breaking spear. This spiritual treasure was made by the artifact refiner, Bai Ling. This spiritual treasure has an innate fire attribute attack. Friends with fire attribute spiritual energy, you can start bidding. Of course, if friends with other attributes want to collect it, then I won't stop you. The host chuckled on the stage, while the surrounding people started to raise the price like crazy. However, Yi Zichen was completely confused. Isn't this Zuoliang? F***CK. Doesn't that mean that he and that sissy are from the Treasure Tower? No wonder they were willing to pay 10,000 Celeste a day to me. The people of the Treasure Tower are truly rich. But what the hell are they talking about? Earth-grade spiritual treasure, fire attribute attack, artifact refiner. Although Yi Zichen was completely confused, the final price of the weapon stopped at 900,000 Celeste. It should be very expensive, right? It seems like the most expensive weapons I saw on the 6th floor were only a few 100,000 Celeste. Alright, the wind-breaking spear has been sold for 900,000 Celeste. Congratulations to the lucky gentleman. Our staff will contact you later. Alright, let's start the second item. Just like that, Zuoliang traded around 20 items without any time to breathe. All of the items were roughly priced between 5 to 2 million Celeste. Yi Zichen did some calculations. In just half an hour, the auction house had already auctioned off nearly 30 million Celeste. If it was based on a 5% commission, then it truly was an extremely profitable industry. However, when Zuoliang left the stage after auctioning off the 20 items, the customers did not reveal any strange expressions. Instead, their gazes became even more heated and filled with anticipation. Whoosh! A long-haired woman wearing a blue qipao with crystal shoes walked out from behind the curtain. The moment she appeared, a series of screams immediately sounded out in the auction hall. Shoo! The woman placed her finger by her lips with a smile, causing the noisy hall to immediately quiet down. Yi Zichen was actually the one who was even more quiet. Chapter 471. Yang Jian's breakthrough. Yi Zichen nodded in understanding when he found out that Zuimo was actually a girl. It was no wonder that he felt so disgusted by the other party's actions earlier. If it was built on a girl, then it would be normal. However, this had nothing to do with him. He had only come here to see if there was any barrier breaking grasp. After the warm-up just now, I'm sure everyone isn't very satisfied. Don't worry, the auctions hosted by us, the Treasure Tower, never disappoint any customer. Here, there's nothing that we can't get, as long as you can think of it. Zuimo, who had returned to being a woman, had a slightly sharper voice, but was full of energy. In just a few words, the atmosphere at the scene heated up to a new height. The ordinary customers on the 7th floor shouted crazily, ignoring the people around them. Even some rich kids on the 8th floor opened their windows and whistled. Let the auction begin. The first item is the famed Saber War Sky. This blade was made by the weapon refining Grand Master Zhan Hai, and the materials used to make it were mostly earth-grade or immortal-grade materials. Human tier spiritual treasure, water attribute variant, ice attribute attack. Special skill, water screen. Able to create a water screen in front of the user for defensive purposes. The starting price is 10 million Celeste. The instant blade entered the arena, everyone's gazes were drawn to him, including Yi Zichen. The blade was very thin and felt like a katana. There was a faint mist of water lingering on its surface, and the moment it appeared, a cold current was produced in the auction hall. It was just as Zuimo had said, water element mutated ice element. Why are you looking at it like that? It's nothing compared to me. Xianyuan Xiang twitched her mouth in a slightly jealous manner. Yi Zichen couldn't help but shake his head when he saw that. I'm just taking a look. Who doesn't know that you're the #1 divine artifact of the primordial times? Who would dare to compare with you? That's more like it. Only then did Xianyuan Xiang snort in satisfaction and crawl back into his arm. However, in this short period of time, the price of the famous saber had already risen to the height of 30 million. He looked at the blade with some reluctance. Although it looked good, it was indeed a good weapon. Unfortunately, he had no money. Seriously, the treasures in this auction must be worth hundreds of millions. Yi Zichen couldn't help but mutter to himself. At that moment, a bearded man sitting beside him suddenly laughed heartily. 100 million? Little brother, you're underestimating the treasure tower's strength too much. Miss Zhuo Mo is personally hosting the auction. It's impossible for it to be less than 10 billion. Tens of billions? If it was in the modern world, wow, no top company in the world could compare to this auction. With a commission of 5%, this was equivalent to earning half of Taobao? With such a high transaction limit, no one dares to come and snatch it? Yi Zichen said naughtily. Hearing that, the bearded man quickly covered his mouth. What? Yi Zichen expressed that he was not interested in men, nor did he like to have any physical contact with men. Do you want to die? You dare to rob in the treasure tower's auction house? Of course, there were some who had the heart to do so, but who had the guts to do so? The treasure tower is one of the peak forces in the outer region of the immortal region. Do you think they're weak? According to my estimation, there are no less than 10 perfected human immortals in this auction house. Even sky immortals might be guarding this place. The bearded man said carefully. Yi Zichen merely shrugged casually. He was just saying it casually. Even if someone really did snatch it, it had nothing to do with him. Yi Zichen shrugged towards the bearded man. The man also noticed that Yi Zichen was no longer interested in chatting, so he turned back to look at the famous saber on the stage with a burning gaze. Ding dong. At that moment, Yi Zichen's phone rang. Noticing that everyone was looking at the auction stage, Yi Zichen took out his phone and saw that the person who sent him the message was Yang Jian. Bro, old Lord Taishang told me that you need the barrier-breaking pill? He told you? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. But didn't you take the pill? Never mind, I'll get the barrier-breaking grass from somewhere else, and get him to refine another one for me. Ha! I can't give it to you even if you want it. I don't want it even if you give it to me. What, you broke through? Yes. At that moment, Yang Jian, who was sitting in the true lord manner, sat proudly on a rattan chair in the courtyard, while a faint golden aura flowed around his body. Yes, he broke through. After using the barrier-breaking pill and 3 days of seclusion, he finally stepped into the early stage of the sky immortal level from the human immortal level. He was extremely cocky at that moment. If it wasn't because old Lord Taishang told him that Yi Zichen needed the barrier-breaking pill, he would have challenged the monkey to a fight. Not bad, not bad. If you become stronger, then you can come and support me when I get beaten up, Yi Zichen smiled. Yang Jian immediately slapped his thigh and laughed when he saw the message. No problem. Yi Zichen sent the message. After sending the message, he suddenly remembered that old Lord Taishang was not the only one who sent him a message, so he replied on his phone. Are you with Tai Bai? No. Ever since Yi Zichen came to the Three Realms, he didn't have the time to contact too many people. The main reason was that he wasn't sure whether those people came to the Three Realms with him. However, Yang Jian's words made him realize that Tai Bai would definitely come here. Tai Bai sent me a message just now. He said that the modern realm is already sealed in ice. He's near the immortal region, and told me to go and find him. Yi Zichen was momentarily stunned when he saw the message, then quickly replied. I'm right here in the immortal region. Isn't that perfect? We couldn't see each other often when you were in the modern realm. I'll go down from the heavenly realm to meet up with Tai Bai, then we'll go and find you together. Tell me where you are in the immortal region. That really troubled Yizichin. Yizichin licked his lips, then turned around and carefully patted the bearded man's shoulder. Bro, which part of the immortal region do we belong to? The bearded man was clearly stunned. He couldn't understand why this bro beside him would ask such an idiotic question, but he still replied, Maple City. Thank you, thank you. If someone comes to cause trouble later, I'll definitely protect you. The bearded man nodded nonchalantly, but muttered in his heart. This brat can't be thinking about robbing the treasure tower, right? Otherwise, why would he keep saying that something bad would happen? But his strength, Maple City. When Yizichin sent the message to Yang Jian, he only received a "see you later" before not replying. At that moment, Yizichin also looked up, and noticed that the bearded man was staring at a certain spot on the second floor. So the auction for the famous saber had already ended, and it seems like the blade is in the hands of a rich family's disciple. At the same time, Zhuo brought up the second auction item. All right, the second auction item, barrier-breaking grass. Zhuo smiled the moment the item was brought up. Yizichin also opened his eyes wide. Chapter 472. Zhuo's trouble. To be honest, Yizichin only came here to try his luck. He hadn't expected that he would really be able to find one. However, he didn't know how much it would cost. The famous sabers before him were already worth tens of millions. Then, this barrier-breaking grass, would it be more expensive? I'm sure all of you are aware of the effects of the barrier-breaking grass. It is suitable for those below the great circle of human immortal stage. After consuming it, there is a 10% chance of breaking through. This is very important for those who are at the bottleneck of breaking through. This time, there are 10 barrier-breaking grass. Below the great circle human immortal stage? 10% chance of breaking through? This seemed to be a little different from the barrier-breaking pill that old Lord Taishang had mentioned, but this was normal. She should have been referring to eating it directly, while old Lord Taishang was referring to refining it into a pill. However, the 10 strands caused Yizichin to feel a bit helpless. Zhuo didn't specify whether he would sell it separately or all at once, and no one in the auction house asked. The customers sitting on the 7th floor didn't even dare to dream of using such a luxury item to break through. As for the bosses of the 8th and 9th floors, they didn't lack Celeste. Ahem, a question. Yizichin forced himself to raise his hand in order to walk up the steps of becoming a human immortal. Everyone in the auction hall looked towards him. Zhuo, who was hosting the auction, also looked over in confusion. When she saw that it was Yizichin, her smile instantly changed. Well, sir, what's your problem? Although she was smiling, Yizichin was certain that it was a murderous smile. In her heart, she was probably thinking about how to play with him. But he couldn't do anything. I just want to ask, are you selling the barrier-breaking grass separately or together? Mister, do you want to buy one or all of them? Zhuo answered with a smile. Many of the rich playboys of the 8th floor were so angry that their teeth itched. The goddess was actually talking to someone from the 7th floor, and she was even talking with a smile. Of course I want to buy it alone. Yizichin did want to buy them all. The more, the better. When old Lord Taishang refines the barrier-breaking pill, even if he couldn't use it, he could give it to the people around him. Oh, I see. Zhuo smiled. Then I'm sorry. We'll sell them together. Pooh. Zhuo, who was standing below the trading platform, couldn't help but burst into laughter. His sister was really going against her brother. Originally, the barrier-breaking grass was going to be sold separately. This way, it would be easier to squeeze more people to get a good price. But because of this brother's words, she changed her mind at the last minute. She was the only one who could do it. If it was anyone else from the treasure tower, they wouldn't have the authority to do so. At the same time, the hedonistic sons of the 8th floor also cheered inwardly. A goddess was indeed a goddess. She just couldn't be nice to this kind of country bumpkin. When it came to Yizichin, good, very good. He forced a smile on his face and nodded at Zhuo. He could tell that this woman was purposely causing trouble for him. As for her previous words, she was just testing him. If he wanted to buy her individually, he would sell her separately. If he wanted to buy all of them, he would sell her individually. In any case, she didn't want him to feel comfortable. Do you have any other questions, sir? Zwoimo maintained her smile. Yi Zichen replied with a faint smile. One more question. Please speak. If I don't have enough money, can I exchange it with something else? Yi Zichen licked his lips. He definitely had to get the barrier-breaking grass. Otherwise, God knows when he would be able to find it again. I have to enter the human immortal level. I can't stay stuck here forever. Of course, but the treasure tower doesn't accept normal items. What I'm selling is naturally not normal, Yi Zichen glared at him. At that moment, Zwoimo also nodded with a smile. Of course. I'll arrange for you to pick you up right now. Just give him the treasure you want to pawn. With that, Zwoimo gave Zhuoliang a look. Later, no matter what it is, just say that you won't accept it. No matter what it is later, just say that you won't accept it. Do you understand? Sis, do you really have to mess with him like this? The treasure tower has always been open for business. Since he dared to ask like that in this sort of place, and even said something like that, then he might truly need the barrier-breaking grass. TSK, who told him to treat me like that back then? As for the barrier-breaking grass, it's not something rare for the treasure tower. When the time comes, I'll just give him one if he really needs it. It can't be. Zhuoliang instantly opened his eyes wide. Sis, is this the sis I know? You actually gave someone a gift. Wow, you can't have taken a liking to that guy, right? Tisk, nothing good comes out of a filthy mouth. Hurry up and go. Zhuoliang rolled his eyes in annoyance, then quickly ran over. At the same time, Zwoimo also smiled towards the crowd. Sorry, the auction has to end for a moment. Apologies, the auction will have to stop for a while. There is a gentleman who wishes to exchange items. Our white treasure pagoda needs to confirm the value of his item. Bro, come with me. At that moment, Zhuoliang had already found his way over. When he saw Yi Zichen, his gaze was extremely strange. Yi Zichen replied plainly, then followed him into a secret room at the back of the auction house. After entering the room, Zhuoliang looked at Yi Zichen with interest for a long time. Don't look at me like that, I'm scared. Yi Zichen subconsciously took 2 steps back, while Zhuoliang quickly waved his hand with a smile. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Zhuoliang quickly waved his hand with a smile. Don't misunderstand, I'm not interested in men either. Zhuoliang quickly waved his hand with a smile. Didn't you say you want to exchange something just now? Hurry up and let me see what kind of treasure it is. Zhuoliang rubbed his hands excitedly. How many celestial shells can you guys give me? Spring returning pill, a spiritual grade pill that cost 100 cultivation experience per bottle in the treasure shop. That seemed to be the only thing Yi Zichen could take out. If that still wasn't enough, then he could only get it from a secret scripture. Zhuoliang, who was about to say that he wouldn't accept it after seeing the treasure, was stunned. He looked at the jade bottle in front of him in shock, then carefully opened the cork and pill. You're a pill refiner. Zhuoliang's eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. Then, he hurriedly ran out. Not long after, a white-haired old man appeared in the room. The old man wore a light red robe with a moon and 3 stars embroidered in the center of the robe. I can't appraise the pill. This is our treasure tower's earth-grade pill refiner master, Shao Qing. Zhuoliang nodded. The old man also nodded and picked up the pill. He placed it in front of his nose and sniffed it. Very quickly, a surprised expression appeared on his face. My lord, I wonder if I can taste it? Of course, just treat it as us, the treasure tower, buying it. Sure. Yi Zichen finally stopped worrying when he saw the elder's expression. It seems like pill refiners have a very high status in the 3 realms. My pill seems to have shocked them quite a bit. Chapter 473. Alchemist, the atmosphere in the room froze. Zhuoliang's gaze moved back and forth between Yi Zichen and the pill refinement master, but mostly on the former. This kid is actually an alchemist? Although Master Shao Qing did not admit it, he could already tell from his expression that Yi Zichen was a pill refiner. Alchemy was divided into 4 levels: spirit, earth, human, and heaven, immortal. Each level was further divided into 4 small levels: beginner, advanced, master, and grandmaster. The symbol on their robes represented their level. The moon represented the major level, and the star represented the minor level. If they reached the heaven-grade grandmaster level, it would be a sun. Moreover, from the way Shao Qing addressed him, it wasn't hard to tell that this kid's strength wasn't just a little bit stronger than his. In the alchemy circle, people of the same grade would generally address each other as fellow Taoist. The so-called same grade referred to the big grade of earth grade. Only one rank higher than him. Only such a person would be addressed as Lord. Didn't that mean that he was at least a human-grade pill master? Spring-returning pill, a spirit-grade medicinal pill. However, its recovery power is 3 times stronger than a normal rejuvenation pill. Are you a human-rank grandmaster? Shao Qing's words were filled with respect. Even though alchemy required a long period of immersion, however, he did not dare to deny that Yi Zichen was not a character grandmaster at such a young age. When one's alchemy reached a certain level, one's appearance was no longer fixed. Human-rank grandmaster? Yi Zichen put on a look of disdain. The pills in the treasure shop should have been refined by old Lord Taishang, right? In terms of pill refinement, he's definitely the best. What does a character grandmaster count for? Don't care so much. I'm just asking if you'll accept it or not. Yes. We'll take as many as you have, but I wonder if you have any other pills for sale. Shao Qing was a little flustered. Judging from the Lord's expression, he seemed to be more than just a character grandmaster. But were there any pill refiners above the heaven grade in the outer regions of the immortal region? Could it be that this expert came from the immortal region? Moreover, why would a heaven-grade alchemist refine this kind of medicinal pill? Of course there is. He took out a spirit-congealing pill from his bosom, which was also a pill that was sold in the treasure shop for 100 pills. Shao Qing carefully picked it up and put it into his mouth. Spirit-congealing pill. The effect is also 3 times stronger than ordinary spirit-congealing pill. How many of these pills do you want? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. He didn't come here to show off. He merely wanted to buy barrier-breaking grass. 2,000 for one. How much do you want? Shao Qing narrowed his eyes and gritted his teeth. The price he offered was actually already very high. Normally, they would only charge 1,700 to 1,800 at most. The reason why he gave such a high price was to leave a good impression on this lord. How much does the barrier-breaking grass cost? Yi Zichen turned around. Zhuoliang licked his lips. His sister said that he can't accept it no matter what. This, Shaoliang, your sister wants to fool around. Are you going to follow along? Shao Qing glared at him. Zhuoliang immediately shrunk his neck and smiled. I can't decide. I have to ask my sister. As soon as he finished speaking, he ran out like a wisp of smoke. Shao Qing, who was in the room, also asked tentatively, May I know what Milord is collecting the barrier-breaking grass for? Refine the barrier-breaking pill. The moment he said that, Shao Qing's expression turned even more respectful. The barrier-breaking pill seems to only be refined by those of the high-level sky grade and above, and the success rate is extremely low. If we succeed in this deal, then I can sell you one. Yi Zichen wasn't certain whether Zhuemo would cause trouble for him or not, but Shao Qing seemed to have quite a bit of status in the treasure tower. If he could get this geezer to help convince Zhuemo, then it wouldn't be a problem for him to sell one to them after he gave the materials to old Lord Taishang. About this, Milord, I will directly gift this barrier-breaking grass to you on behalf of the treasure tower. If you successfully refine it, Then please sell one to the treasure tower. We will buy it for a high price. Xiao Qing was so excited that he couldn't speak. A barrier-breaking pill was equivalent to a sky immortal. Just what level is this master at? If he had been a little curious as to why someone of his level would want to buy the barrier-breaking grass at the price of a medicinal pill, now, even if what this lord said was false, and this medicinal pill wasn't concocted by him, it was possible that there was someone behind this pill. He was prepared to take a gamble. 10 strands of barrier-breaking grass paled in comparison to a barrier-breaking pill. That's so embarrassing, but since you said that, then I won't refuse. Of course, I won't take advantage of you. Whoosh. 2,000 jade bottles suddenly appeared in the room. These are 1,000 spring-returning pills and 1,000 spirit-focusing pills. As for the barrier-breaking pill, if I have any extra, then I'll give it to the treasure tower. Then thank you so much, my lord. Xiao Qing replied gratefully. Zhuoliang hurried over to the auction stage. Zuemo couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he saw his little brother's hurried expression. How is it? Did you send him away? Sis, there's a problem, Zhuoliang gulped. That guy is a pill refiner, and he seems to be of a rather high level. Even Master Xiao Qing called him my lord. That's impossible. Zuemo was stunned. How could a pill refiner be so young? And he even made Xiao Qing call him my lord. That's too laughable. What's more, if he really is a pill refiner above the human grade, why would he need to trade for a barrier-breaking grass? Take me over. Bang. The door to the secret room opened. When Zuemo walked in, she saw that the room was filled with jade bottles. Where's Yi Zichen? Zuemo raised her eyebrows. Xiao Qing, who was sitting on the chair, stood up. Zuemo, give those 10 barrier-breaking grass to that milord after the auction ends. Actually, Zuemo was her real name. The reason why she had called him Zuemo before was purely to lower Yi Zichen's guard. Why? Zuemo raised her eyebrows in confusion. Xiao Qing's expression instantly darkened. Don't worry about it so much. Alright, continue hosting the auction. Zuemo waved her sleeves and left the room. Only then did Zuemo clench her teeth hatefully. This is pissing me off. As expected, the barrier-breaking grass was not auctioned off. The bearded man beside Yi Zichen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Bro, the barrier-breaking grass is in your hands, right? It's a secret. Yi Zichen smiled, while his tone was filled with joy. Right now, all he had to do was wait for the auction to end before he could take the barrier-breaking grass away. Time passed by, and the auction continued. During this period of time, Yi Zichen, who had nothing to do, calculated the transaction amount. It really was as the bearded man had said. The transaction amount this time really did exceed 10 billion. As the last item was auctioned off, the auction came to an end. Everyone in the auction hall waited for the staff to deliver the treasure to them, and Yi Zichen was naturally one of them. However, at that very moment, a huge hole suddenly appeared on the top floor of the auction hall. Chapter 474. The thief time flies. Did you see that? Someone really came to snatch it. Yi Zichen couldn't help but roll his eyes. He didn't care so much, he could snatch whatever he wanted. He just had to hurry up and run with the barrier-breaking grass. The person who dared to come here to rob was definitely not an ordinary person. He did not have the leisure to fight with that person. Stop blanking out, hurry up and give me the barrier-breaking grass. I'm going to run after I get it. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows at the staff member in front of him. The people from the treasure tower were all dumbfounded. It had been thousands of years since someone had come to disrupt an auction. Someone really came to rob it. The person who exclaimed was none other than the bearded man beside him. He looked at Yi Zichen in shock. Don't look at me. I'm not part of the gang. Yi Zichen shrugged, then urged the staff to hurry up and give him the barrier-breaking grass. However, right at this moment, the barrier-breaking grass in the workers' tray actually flew up uncontrollably. The other auction items also flew up into the air. When he looked up, he noticed that the man on the roof was holding a cloth bag in his hand. The auction items were flying towards that cloth bag. "How dare you?" the bearded man suddenly scolded. In an instant, he, who was only at the level of spirit-body, suddenly released the spiritual pressure of a human immortal and above. "How bold of you to come to the treasure tower to steal goods." As soon as he finished speaking, he flew towards the man. Yizichin was shocked. He really didn't expect the bearded man to be one of the experts of the treasure tower. There is no treasure that I, Shi Qian, cannot snatch." The man on the rooftop smiled evilly. Hearing his name made Yizichin speechless. Shi Qian. That name sounded familiar. Shi Qian was the thief among the 108 generals in Water Margin, right? Shi Qian, it's actually him. Zhuoliang and Zhuo appeared beside Yizichin. Zhuo was the one who spoke. Her eyebrows were tightly knitted together, revealing her worry. "Can you not care about the flow of time? The barrier-breaking grass was snatched away by that kid. Shouldn't your auction house compensate me with 10 strands? Zhuo immediately rolled her eyes at him. "Don't worry, I'll be fine. What right do you have to ask our auction house to compensate you when your goods were given to you by old Xiao? Let's wait. If we can snatch it back, we'll snatch it back. If we can't, there's nothing I can do." Zhuo shrugged, indicating that there was nothing she could do to help. Yizichin was as speechless as he could be. This was how the Great Pagoda did things. Sure enough, women were the most dangerous creatures in this world. Wasn't it just that he didn't give her any face before? Was there a need to go against him in every way? Zhuoliang, contact the guards. Ale alone won't be able to stop Shi Qian. Just as Zhuo said, the bearded man couldn't do anything to Shi Qian. The other party was as nimble as a monkey, dispersing all of the attacks. Furthermore, the auction items from the treasure tower were also continuously flying into his bag. There really are people who are not afraid of death. Looks like we old bones will have to move a little. Another 3 elders appeared in the sky. Judging from the spiritual pressure they were emitting, they should be experts above the worldly immortal stage. Bullying me with numbers? I don't want to play with you anymore. More than half of the auction items had already entered his bag. Seeing that more and more people were coming to capture him, Yizichin knew when to stop. Thus, he quickly tied the bag around his waist and prepared to run. My barrier-breaking grass. Yizichin stomped his feet anxiously. At that moment, Yang Jian and Taibai Jinxing, who were wearing normal clothes, suddenly appeared in front of him. Bro, long time no see. Yang Jian immediately gave him a bear hug. Yang Jian came up and gave him a bear hug. Taibai Jinxing nodded calmly and said, You actually came to the 3 realms as well. You're finally here. Yizichin felt like he saw his savior when he saw Yang Jian. The thief who stole his barrier-breaking grass was only a human immortal, but Yizichin's movement technique was amazing. He was actually able to hold his own against the attacks of 4 or 5 human immortals. Yizichin quickly spoke up when he saw that Yang Jian was about to run away with the treasure. Yang Jian, do you see that shifty-looking guy? Go and snatch his bag over for me. He stole my barrier-breaking grass. Barrier-breaking grass. Yang Jian was stunned, then revealed a look of anger. He actually dared to steal my bro's treasure. He really doesn't want to live. Boom. The spiritual pressure of a sky immortal instantly spread out from his body. The treasure tower members who were fighting with Shi Qian in the air all raised their eyebrows when they felt the pressure. Sky immortal? It's not someone from the treasure tower. Could it be this thief's? Shi Qian also felt it, causing an anxious expression to appear on his face. It was one thing to mess around with a human immortal, but he really couldn't beat a sky immortal. Of the 36 stratagems, running is the best. Shi Qian took out a few smoke grenades and tossed them out, then tried to run away. You want to run? A huge hand suddenly condensed in the air and grabbed him. At that moment, Yang Jian also squinted his eyes and snorted, You want to run in front of this lord? You still want to run in front of me? You really don't put me in your eyes. Oh my lord, what are you saying? Shi Qian smiled apologetically. Shi Qian smiled apologetically. How would I dare to look down on you? You're from the treasure tower? Hey, I was just joking with you guys, don't mind it too much. Treasure tower? You're not from the treasure tower. Shi Qian's eyes instantly lit up. Then you're here for money, right? What a coincidence, so am I. Why don't we split it 50-50? Shi Qian observed Yang Jian's expression for a while, and saw that he wasn't very satisfied. 80/20, you get 80, I get 20. Still not satisfied. 91, everyone is here for money. Little brother, I also put in a lot of effort this time, just treat it as money for my hard work. Stop bullshitting with lousy. Give me the bag in your hand. Yang Jian frowned. Yang Jian frowned. That was Yi Zichen's request. It seems like the bag is a good treasure. Since I asked Yang Jian to do it, I can't do it for free. I have to take the bag. Hearing that, Shi Qian instantly cried. Not only did I get robbed of the treasure I came for, I even have to give the bag away? However, since the difference in strength between him and Yang Jian was too huge, he didn't dare to refuse. He could only clench his teeth and hand the bag over to Yang Jian. Alright, F***ck off. Shi Qian quickly ran away. At the same time, Yang Jian also shook the bag in his hand proudly. At the same time, the guards that Zhuo Liang had invited also came over. When they saw that Yang Jian was the only one in the air, and that he was still holding the bag with the treasure in his hand, they immediately labeled him as a robber. Put down the bag in your hands, otherwise we'll kill you, the guards said coldly. Yang Jian, who had a proud expression earlier, instantly lost his temper when he heard that. He squinted his eyes and looked at the 10-odd guards around him with a snort. Chapter 475. Return. Yang Jian was definitely a battle maniac. Otherwise, he wouldn't have become a general leading troops in the heavenly court. He had just broken through to the sky immortal level, and was worried that he wouldn't be able to test his strength. Seeing such a group of people coming to find trouble with him, his eyes immediately revealed a look of eagerness. You're challenging the authority of the treasure tower. Bullshit authority. Yang Jian rolled his eyes and snorted. What treasure tower? I've never heard of it. If you want to fight, then come at me together. If not, then hurry up and F***ck off. If you can fight, try not to argue, understand? Although that was what he said, he was actually secretly looking forward to it. Come at me, hit me. This was the immortal regent's territory. If he actively caused trouble, he might draw out those old antiques. However, if he passively defended, then it would be different. Even if those old antiques asked, he could say that they attacked first. Say that again if you dare. There were quite a few foolish fans of the treasure tower among them. How could they bear it when they heard someone slander the treasure tower's authority? So what if I say it 10,000 times? I'll say it again. If you can fight, try not to argue. Yang Jian squinted his eyes and snorted. A few of the human immortals surrounding him immediately used the surrounding spiritual energy and stepped forward. Sensing their movements, Yang Jian also revealed an excited smile and crooked his finger at them. I got the wrong person. Just as the tension was about to rise, the bearded man hurriedly ran over. At the same time, he ran over to the leader of the guards and whispered something into his ear. Is that true? The middle-aged man with a round face and medium build in a blue robe paused and looked at Yang Jian suspiciously. They actually made a mistake. The person in front of them wasn't the culprit, but when they thought about how this guy dared to slander the treasure tower, who cares if he's a criminal or not? He deserves death for slandering the treasure tower. The middle-aged man snorted. He squinted his eyes at Yang Jian, who was surrounded by them, and raised his eyebrows at the guards around him. Set up the dragon lock formation. This group of guards had a total of 12 members, all of whom were human immortals. As the name suggested, the dragon-locking formation could trap a huge dragon inside. This blue-robed round-faced man also wanted to trap Yang Jian to death and make him apologize to the treasure tower. Even the average heavenly immortal would have a hard time escaping from the dragon lock array that was being attacked by 12 human immortals at the same time. But break! A faint chuckle came out of Yang Jian's mouth, and the dragon lock formation, which could trap even an early-stage heaven immortal, was broken by him. The 12 guards scattered in all directions. At the same time, Yang Jian also put his hands on his waist and laughed arrogantly. "Small fry, you want to trap me, your grandpa." He snorted and walked away from the blue-robed, round-faced man. At this moment, the man's heart was already filled with shock. Mid-stage heaven immortal? In fact, he was wrong. Yang Jian was only an early-stage heaven immortal, but he had the support of the power of faith, so his strength was naturally much stronger than ordinary heaven immortals. This was one of the advantages of entering the 3 holy lands. Otherwise, there were plenty of human immortal-level experts in the outside world. If the people of the Holy Lands weren't a bit stronger, then they wouldn't have been able to become one of the 3 holy lands. Just as Yang Jian returned to Yi Zichen's side proudly, he noticed that they had already disappeared. Yang Jian subconsciously took out his phone and saw that Yi Zichen had left him a message. "Bring back the barrier-breaking grass and the bag. Give the rest back to the woman called Zuomo." "All right," Yang Jian nodded. Then he stood in the auction house with his hands on his waist and shouted, "Zuomo, is there a person called Zuomo here?" "I am." Zuomo slowly walked in front of Yang Jian while ignoring everyone else's objections. Yang Jian's first reaction when he saw the woman was to be shocked, then he couldn't help but retort, "Why are all the women around my bro so beautiful?" Yang Jian rolled his eyes, then opened the bag and poured out all the treasures in the bag in front of Zuomo and everyone else's shocked gazes. Then, he took the barrier-breaking grass from the bag and turned to Zuomo. "I'm giving it back to you." This. Zuomo was a bit confused. This person actually gave all the treasures back. She licked her lips in shock, then called out to Yang Jian, who was about to leave. "Please wait a moment. Is something the matter?" Yang Jian raised his eyebrows. Zuomo quickly shook her head, then took out a token and handed it to Yang Jian. "I don't know how to repay you for your help this time. You can use this token to mobilize troops in any area that the treasure tower is active in. You can also ask the treasure tower to fulfill one of your requests. As long as it's not too much, we will do our best." "All right then." Yang Jian put the token away, then leaped up and disappeared from the auction house. At that moment, Zuoliang also walked out and raised his eyebrows. "Sis, why did you give him the token? Aren't you afraid that he should be someone from the sacred land?" A brilliant smile flashed across Zuomo's eyes. "He should have done it because someone else told him to. I wonder if you noticed, but the thing he took away just now, barrier-breaking grass." Zuoliang was momentarily stunned, then raised his eyebrows. "Are you trying to say that Yi Zichen told him to help?" A hint of a smile flashed across Zuomo's face. She shrugged. "I never said that. Just pretend like you never heard it. All right, this farce is over. All right, this farce is over. Hurry up and send the auction items of the customers to their respective mansions. Also, apologize sincerely. Do you understand? All right, I'll go and arrange it right now." Zuomo also smiled as Zuoliang hurriedly left. "Pill refiner connections in the sacred land. I'm even more curious about you now. Bro, can you tell if this is the barrier-breaking grass?" Yang Jian, who had just left the auction house, rushed over to the appointed location with a few stalks of celery-like grass in his hands. "That's it." Yi Zichen nodded excitedly. He would be able to enter the human immortal level with the barrier-breaking grass. As for what to do when a human immortal breaks through to the sky immortal level, that'll have to be discussed later. "Oh yeah, that woman called Zuomo also gave me a token. She said that the tower or whatever you need will satisfy any of your requests with this token. Yi Jian took out the token and chucked it into Yi Zichen's hands. Yang Jian took out the token and chucked it into Yi Zichen's hands. I didn't want it originally, but then I thought that you might need it. The token was rather cold to the touch, while the word tower was engraved in gold on it. If Yi Zichen was right, then this token should be the token that Zhuo Mo used to chase Captain Lu away at the real estate center. I didn't expect the girl to actually give this treasure away. But it's good to keep it, since I might really need it in the future. Of course, the most important thing right now was to send the barrier-breaking grass to old Lord Taishang. Breakthrough. Chapter 476. A vengeful heart. He sent the barrier-breaking grass to old Lord Taishang, but what he got in return was the old man's ridicule. Things like squeezing out labor and not giving money to Qian Yunyun were all said by this old man. However, in the end, he still answered with certainty that he would refine the barrier-breaking pill as soon as possible. Yi Zichen was a bit confused. He didn't even know when he started to feel like old friends with old Lord Taishang. Brother, what did old Lord Taishang say? Yang Jian handed Yi Zichen a bottle of drink, along with a pile of peanuts, spicy gluten and so on the ground. Yi Zichen's nose twitched when he saw the familiar food, and he nearly teared up. All of these came from the modern world, but the modern world had already been frozen. For a moment, he suddenly felt the nostalgia of a foreigner. He really didn't know when he would be able to return to the place where he grew up. Brother! Yang Jian nudged Yi Zichen with his shoulder. Only then did Yi Zichen return to his senses and smile. Old Lord Taishang said that he would refine it for me as soon as possible. That's good. Yang Jian grinned. They were currently in Tai Bai Jingxing's home. This house had been bought by Tai Bai Jingxing when he was young, when he descended from the celestial court. It was a very simple house with a large courtyard outside. It was quite suitable for people of his age to live in. Everyone sat on the ground. Yang Jian grabbed 2 peanuts with his hand and threw them into his mouth, raising his eyebrows. Can you tell me what happened in the modern world after that? Why did you want us to leave, but the modern world was frozen? Yi Zichen's expression froze. For some reason, he recalled the nightmarish scene that woke him up every night. Xiao Yumei, the woman who had always stood behind him and supported him. Until the end, she was still thinking about him. But he creaked. He clenched his fists tightly. Yang Jian and Tai Bai Jingxing also noticed Yi Zichen's expression. However, Yi Zichen instantly calmed himself down and smiled. The people from the Devil World won, but I didn't lose either. At that time, the people of the demon race did not eradicate him, and the seeds of hatred had already grown in their hearts. It was just as Suiyun had said. From that moment on, Yi Zichen had been living in regret and pain. However, all of this would not cause him to be unable to recover from the setback. He would only use this hatred, become stronger. Demon world, just you wait. One day I will take revenge. He kept repeating these words in his heart. Even if it was for Xiao Yumei, he would turn the demon race upside down. I see. Yang Jian nodded faintly. Then now the Devil Clan. They should be preparing to attack the 3 realms. Tai Bai Jingxing said from the side. The modern realm isn't suitable for demons to live in, but the demon realm can't wait to attack. It's very likely that something happened where they live. Now that the modern realm is frozen, their target will naturally be the 3 realms. I'm just afraid that he won't dare to come. If he does, Grandpa will definitely teach him a lesson. Yang Jian smiled arrogantly. He was the kind of person who wasn't afraid of trouble. If he could fight, he would try not to make a ruckus. When he went to the modern realm, because he wasn't a celestial immortal yet, he didn't fight against the 12 demon sovereigns. If they dared to come again this time, they would definitely beat their stomachs out. Don't be too careless. As one of the upper realms, the Devil Realm is not to be underestimated. Tai Bai Jingxing kindly reminded, but he did not say too much. No worries. Yang Jian chuckled, then rubbed his hands and looked towards Yi Zichen. Bro, let's not talk about the situation in the modern realm. Since you've come to the three realms, you shouldn't be as busy as before, right? Although Yi Zichen did not understand what Yang Jian meant, he still nodded. Yeah, what about it? Makeup class. Didn't you say that you were going to start a makeup class in the Heavenly Court? But you still haven't started it yet. Big Sister Stone mentioned it to me a few days ago. There are plenty of girls in the Heavenly Court waiting for them. Yang Jian frowned. Yang Jian said with a frown. Also, Yu Lao wants to know when the other factories will open up. Many people are waiting for the fun three-piece set. Oh, that's it. Yi Zichen understood. He had already been prepared to do all that when he was in the modern realm, but due to the demon realm's attack, he delayed it. I don't seem to have anything to worry about in the three realms, so it's time for me to deal with all that. There's no need to worry about it. Since I've already come to the three realms, it's easy for us to meet. Tell Yu Lao to come down and see me when we have time. I'll talk to him in detail. Let's just call him in the group. Yang Jian was about to mention Yu Lao in the group. Yang Jian immediately wanted to Yang Jian in the group. However, Yi Zichen looked at the sky and stopped him. Don't, it's getting late. The people in the village might still be waiting for me to return. I can't stay here for too long. Let's set up another time. Seriously, so troublesome. Yang Jian sighed helplessly, then took out 2 cartons of cigarettes from his spatial artifact and placed them on the ground. You two aren't in the modern realm right now, so you shouldn't be able to get any, right? I brought these for you guys. Since bro said next time, then let's do it next time. I have to hurry back to the Heavenly Court as well. Recently, that geezer Jade Emperor has been watching me very closely. Alright, hurry up and go back. As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Jian summoned a cloud and floated away. Yi Zichen, who sat on the ground, put a carton of cigarettes into his phone, then raised his eyebrows towards Tai Bai Jinxing. Wei Chen, do you know where he is? He's the White Tiger's incarnation, so we don't have to worry about that, Tai Bai Jinxing replied plainly. Tai Bai Jinxing calmly replied, but at that time, I felt that there were at least 10 people who ascended to the three realms. Maybe you know one of them. I know that, Yi Zichen nodded. From Su Yen and Xia Kiki, Yi Zichen already felt that there might be other people around him ascending. Ignoring everyone else, just Mother Yi however, his foundation in the three realms was unstable, and he did not have any channels to obtain information. All he could do was pray that they were safe, and quickly develop his own forces. I'll be staying here in the near future. If you have nothing to do, then come and visit. This old man is rather bored staying by himself. No problem. When Yi Zichen returned to the manor in the village, it was already late at night. What he did not expect was that Stone and Lil, you were standing at the entrance and looking around anxiously. Are you waiting for me? Yi Zichen scratched his head with a coy smile. Lil Yu immediately let out a sigh of relief when she saw that he was fine, then rolled her eyes towards him and left. Meanwhile, Big Brother Stone hooked his arm around Yi Zichen's shoulder and snorted. Brat, if you dare to come back so late in the future, then Big Brother will take care of you. Even though that was what he said, the concern in his words was evident. Chapter 477. Dumbo Incident. Stone mysteriously dragged Yi Zichen to a place with no one around. When Yi Zichen saw Stone's careful behavior, even Yi Zichen was slightly curious about Stone's gossip. You might not believe it even if I tell you, but someone robbed the treasure tower's auction. However, the treasure tower was indeed worthy of being the #1 tower. The person who tried to steal the treasure did not succeed. I heard that the person who made a move was the divine thief Shi Qian. Looks like the treasure tower is pretty powerful. But Shi Qian is quite brave to dare to rob the treasure tower's auction. Stone clicked his tongue in wonder, while Yi Zichen was completely shocked. Is this the big gossip? He was present at the treasure tower's auction. However, this kind of rare situation was indeed worth gossiping about for ordinary people. However, if he were to tell Stone that it was actually his credit that the treasure tower was able to snatch the treasure back, I wonder what this guy will think. Of course, in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he naturally wouldn't say it. Even if he said it, Sure might not believe him. It is indeed a big piece of gossip. Yi Zichen smiled. Stone's expression instantly changed when he saw Yi Zichen's calm expression. "TSK, your reaction is not enthusiastic at all. If Xiaolan were here, she would definitely be flabbergasted. Xiaolan is actually getting married. I really can't bear to see her go." "That's a good thing. I heard that her husband is someone from the 6 pavilions. It's a pretty good marriage," Yi Zichen smiled in comfort. "That's true, but Xiaolan has never seen that person in her entire life, not even I. According to Xueqi, it was decided when the old village chief was still alive. I'm not afraid of anything else, but I'm afraid that Xiaolan will be wronged." Stone's eyes were filled with worry as he spoke. "He's a disciple of the 6 pavilions. We're just ordinary villagers. We can't compare to him. As the big brother, can't you think of something good?" Yi Zichen rolled his eyes in annoyance, then raised his eyebrows. "How about this? I'll tell you some great gossip as well." "What big gossip do you have? Hurry up and tell me." Stone, who was worried about his little sister, immediately changed his expression. Seeing that, Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile, then raised his eyebrows. "Do you still remember the group of people on horseback when we bought the house?" "Of course." Stone raised his brows and said, "Didn't you run into them today? By the way, tell me what you did today." "The gossip I was talking about is about them." Yi Zichen smiled mysteriously, then whispered into his ear. Not long after, he waved his hand and walked towards the room. Rockhead was completely stunned on the spot, and he cried out in surprise after a long time passed. "What the hell? A woman?" Since Yi Zichen had already dispersed his spiritual energy, he was unable to break through to the human immortal level on his own, so he did not go to the dragon god's subdimension to cultivate. He thought he could have a good sleep, but he had the dream that had been tormenting him. "Blame it on me." She sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the quiet night outside the window. She sat there for the whole night. Bang, bang, bang. In the morning, urgent knocks on the door woke Yi Zichen up from his private world. Rubbing his reddened eyes, he walked to the door and saw Stone looking at him with a blank expression. "What? Brother, what did you do yesterday?" Yi Zichen replied in confusion when he heard Stone's strange words. "I didn't do anything." "You didn't do anything." Stone glared, then pointed outside and said, "Then explain to me what's going on." Yi Zichen washed up quickly, then got dragged into the courtyard by Stone in confusion. What the hell? At that moment, the manor was filled with people, who all held weapons and spiritual herbs in their hands as they walked around the manor. A middle-aged man that Yi Zichen did not recognize also appeared at the training field in the courtyard, where the villagers of the spiritual breeze village were supposed to cultivate. The man stood with his hands behind his back like a teacher as he continuously spoke. All of the villagers also held a secret scripture in their hands as they continuously nodded. "What's going on?" Yi Zichen blinked in confusion. "Who won the lottery?" What's going on?" "You're asking me?" "I want to ask you." Stone glared. "Someone asked if Yi Zichen lived here early in the morning. I just nodded, and it became like this. Be careful, these spiritual treasures aren't cheap. Team 2, have you planted the spiritual plants yet? Don't plant them too closely. The people here aren't very strong, they won't be able to get used to overly dense spiritual energy." A young man holding an account book shouted continuously in the center of the courtyard. Yi Zichen looked at Stone in confusion, then scratched his head and walked towards the young man. "Bro. You are?" The young man held the account book and asked in confusion. "He's Yi Zichen." "Brat, didn't you ask if Yi Zichen lived here?" "What, you don't know him?" Stone glared. He was truly confused by these people. Even though he knew that they seemed to be doing it for his village, he still couldn't help but get angry. You are Mr. Yi. The young man quickly put down the account book and smiled warmly. Our young lady told us to come over. Stone immediately smiled meaningfully, then nudged Yi Zichen with his shoulder. Don't worry. Brat, not bad. You seem rather listless normally, right? You picked up a rich young lady. Look at how extravagant she is. I was worried about how you were going to find a wife. Ziziz, you're taking the initiative. At that moment, Stone saw Lil Yu look over with her arms crossed. He quickly raised his eyebrows. Lil Yu, don't be nervous. Yi Zichen's wife gave it to her. Heh. However, Lil Yu merely snorted coldly, then turned around and left. Before she left, she even glared fiercely at Yi Zichen. What's going on? Yi Zichen was truly confused. At that moment, the young man had already picked up the account book and flipped through it once again, while calling out to the others to be careful. Young lady? Whose family's young lady? Brat, stop giving orders. Yi Zichen pulled the young man over. Yi Zichen pulled the young man over. The young man immediately spoke up respectfully. Mr. Yi, what instructions do you have? No, I'm a bit confused right now. You said that your family's young lady told you to come. Yes. But I've never known any rich young lady. You don't know, right? We're all from the village, so it's impossible for us to be related to a big family like yours. Did you get it wrong? Impossible, it's written clearly here. The young man handed the book over. Yi Zichen took a look. The handwriting was beautiful. TSK, that's not the main point. The main point was that it was clearly written here. Then who exactly is your family's young lady? Yi Zichen was truly confused. Even now, he still couldn't understand who this person was. However, at that very moment, a soft chuckle sounded out from behind him. Chapter 478. Make sure of one thing, miss. The young man holding the account book quickly bowed and nodded. When Yi Zichen turned around, he saw Zuemo wore a light blue dress and smiled. She even had a multicolored petal hairpin in her hair as she smiled and waved at him. Why is it you? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes speechlessly. Then who else are you looking forward to? Very popular with women? As expected, concocting pills. He raised his hand and covered her mouth. If this woman told the alchemist, he wouldn't be able to stay in the Spiritual Breeze village anymore. Of course, the Spiritual Breeze villagers would look at him strangely in the future. Ugh! Zuemo pushed him away and frowned. Hey, who allowed you to touch me? Watch your stupid mouth, we'll both be comfortable. Oh! A meaningful smile flashed across Zuemo's face, but she did not mention the word pill refiner. Glaring at her fiercely, Stone swallowed his saliva and raised his brows. Brat, where did you scam him from? He's not bad looking. What trick? She's the one I told you about yesterday. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes. Stone was stunned for a moment, then pointed at Zuemo and glared. You, it's not very polite to point at a girl. Zuemo said with a faint smile. Stone raised his eyebrows and snorted. What? Can't I point at you? I'm telling you, with me around, don't even think about bullying my brother. You really know how to joke. Bully him? It's good enough that he doesn't bully me. Seeing that Zuemo put on a weak look, Yi Zichen didn't want anything bad to happen, so he signaled Stone to leave first, then raised his eyebrows towards her. What exactly do you want? Zuemo also told the young man to leave, then walked beside Yi Zichen with a smile. The fragrance of jasmine wafted into Yi Zichen's nose. He subconsciously took a few steps back, only to hear Zuemo laugh. What are you doing here? Why are you so afraid of me? Do you think I can let you eat me? I'm not afraid of you giving it to me. It's just that I'm puzzled by your actions. Yi Zichen maintained a suitable distance, then pointed at the people she'd sent. Why? Is it that hard to guess? Zuemo shrugged with a smile. Pill refiners are people that are sought after by the entire world. Isn't it normal that our treasure tower wants to get closer to you? You believe me. Believe what? Zuomo smiled playfully. Don't play dumb with me. Shao Qing is old, and his mind can't keep up. It's one thing for him to believe that I'm an alchemist, but do you? Treasure Tower's head auctioneer, I don't think you're that naive. Yi Zichen sneered. Although he hadn't interacted with this woman for long, he could sense that she was a terrifyingly shrewd woman. I'm just that simple. Do you think I'm not simple? Zuomo spun around like a little girl. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth and ignored her. At the same time, she spoke up once more. All right, I am indeed quite far from being pure. But from what you said just now, can I understand that you are not an alchemist? Your understanding is correct. Yi Zichen nodded slightly, but Zuomo's pretty smile instantly turned cold. If that's the case, then you're deceiving the White Treasure Pagoda. As a pagoda, we don't like people who aren't sincere. Yi Zichen was momentarily stunned by the sudden change in tone. After a while, Zuomo smiled. I'm just teasing you. You can only say that you have the ability to fool us. However, I didn't expect you to actually not be a pill master. This is really too disappointing. I've really invested a lot. You can totally take it, Yi Zichen shrugged. What a joke. I, Zuomo, have never taken back what I've given away. Regardless of whether you are an alchemist or not, I am willing to make friends with you. Besides, your villagers are too weak. Don't you want them to become stronger? In this era where the strong prey on the weak, do you want to see your villagers being bullied? Yi Zichen licked his lips and shrugged. That's right. Well, your words have moved me. Tell me, what is the purpose of this trip? I don't believe that you went through so much trouble just to determine whether I'm an alchemist or not. Looks like you're thinking too much. Zuomo squinted her eyes and smiled. I really don't have a goal in coming here, I just want to confirm one thing. Confirm what? I can't tell you, but I'm sure now. With that, Zuomo turned around and leisurely walked away from Yi Zichen. What is this strange woman doing here? Yi Zichen frowned, then raised his eyebrows towards the young man holding the account book. Come over here. Let me see how much your family's young lady gave me. As soon as Zuomo walked out, a middle-aged man in the Earth Dragon parked in front of the door lifted the curtains and said, How is it? I didn't sense anything. But I still believe that he's someone from the sacred grounds. Zuomo sat inside the carriage and chuckled. Daughter, why do you care so much about this young man? Don't forget, you'll be the leader of the treasure tower in the future. Now isn't the time for you to be in love. What's more, you're engaged. The middle-aged man sighed softly with a gentle gaze. Zuomo raised her eyebrows and smiled. So what? I'm still doing what I should be doing. As for that engagement, he's not worthy of me. I'm already prepared. I'm going to break off the engagement with that person when my forces stabilize a bit. A woman breaking off a man. How bold. The middle-aged man did not have any intention of stopping Zuomo. He merely smiled. You're grown up, so your father won't interfere too much with you. But no matter what you do, your father will support you unconditionally. But you have to be careful, your second uncle. Everything is under control, Zuomo smiled calmly. Zuomo smiled calmly and raised her eyebrows. This little wave isn't something I can't control. The Earth Dragon slowly left the Longevity Manor, while Yi Zichen also arrived at the training field. As expected of someone from the tower, Zuomo was truly generous. Just the weapons, secret scriptures and spiritual items added together was actually worth over 100 million. What's more, she even stayed behind with the 4 human immortal level teachers. Through her conversation with them, it seems like they'll be staying here in the future. This is extremely beneficial for the cultivation of the villagers, as well as for the safety of the Longevity Manor. However, Yi Zichen didn't know what Zuomo's intentions were. Since she chose to make such an investment, it was definitely for the sake of getting more benefits. Merchants would never make unprofitable deals, and Zuomo was a shrewd merchant, ding-dong. Just as Yi Zichen was thinking about it, his phone rang. Chapter 479. Yu Lao's Visit System Notification. Hello. Yi Zichen, who walked to a place with no one around, couldn't help but roll his eyes when he saw the system notification. Just what is this guy doing? Why does he know how to speak English? What do you want to do now? Yi Zichen said in annoyance. Not long later, his phone rang once again. System notification. Don't be like this. I'll be very sad if you treat me like this. I really want to punch you. Yi Zichen was truly annoyed by the system. System notification. Alright, I'll talk to you normally. Actually, I have a mission for you this time, but I want to ask for your opinion before doing so. Did you eat the wrong medicine? When did you become so human? Before, he would always randomly give out missions. If he could complete it, then he would complete it. If he couldn't, then he would kill him. This time, the system actually asked for his opinion. The sun really rose from the west. System notification. Times are changing, I have to keep up with them as well, right? The mission this time is actually rather simple. How about you go and pick up that girl called Zhuemo? You're sick. The moment he saw the message, Yi Zichen cursed out loud. I think you ate too much croton. Why are you acting like an idiot? Pick up Zhuemo? Do you want me to die? Or are you unhappy that I'm alive? Then just directly kill me. System notification. Why are you so angry? Isn't Zhuemo a pretty good girl? She's the future leader of the treasure tower. Her methods, looks, character and talent are all top-notch. So many people want to be with her. You want to reject her? If you're going to be like this, then our conversation ends here. With that, Yi Zichen prepared to log out of WeChat and leave. System notification. Don't. Look, I'm just asking. If you don't agree, then let's not pick her up. But I suggest that you get on good terms with her. You'll need her for a lot of things in the three realms in the future. I don't like to approach anyone with an ulterior motive. It's fine as long as we get on good terms. If not, then there's no need to force it. System notification. You're still too young. Never mind, then let's do as you want. Yi Zichen really didn't expect the system to actually give in. This was far too different from his usual domineering self. He even wondered if he was dreaming. System notification. Now that you have reached the three realms, you must think twice before you act. Don't be impulsive. Alright, that's all. If Elder Moon comes looking for you later, you can open the other factories. Don't care about the movements of the demon world, and don't consider whether the demon world will touch the three realms. What you need to do is to earn intimacy points in the heavenly court. It's still that saying, the more the better. Whoosh. 10 seconds after the messages appeared, all the messages disappeared from the top of the screen. Yi Zichen shrugged, then couldn't help but retort. Aren't you afraid that I can't see it? However, the system's words just now seemed to have a deeper meaning. Don't worry about the movements of the demon realm, and don't worry about whether the demon realm would make a move on the three realms. Just stay in the heavenly court and earn intimacy level. Of course, he would earn intimacy with the heavenly court, but he had reminded him more than once. What a strange fellow. Just as he put away his phone, a villager from the Spiritual Breeze village ran towards him. Lil Yi, someone is looking for you outside. An old man in festive clothes stood at the entrance of the manor. He was the heavenly court's Yu Lao. At that moment, he was continuously tidying up his clothes. Although they had talked for a long time through the phone, it was his first time meeting Yi Zichen in real life. This celestial venerable was worthy of his boss. He had to leave a good impression on him. Yu Lao didn't know Yi Zichen, but Yi Zichen didn't know him either. Yi Zichen asked in a testing manner when he saw the old man standing in front of the door. You are Sky Sovereign Nameless, right? Yu Lao also replied in a testing manner. Yi Zichen was momentarily stunned, then recalled the system's words. You are Yu Lao? He had used the great Tao of Heaven's birth to look at Yu Lao before, but Yu Lao didn't look like this in his impression. The old man in front of him had white hair and a youthful complexion, and he was also a bit taller than he remembered. More importantly, the greasy look on his face clearly showed that he had used too much essence. What? Did this old man put on makeup when he came? Yes, that's me. Yulao couldn't help but nod and smile. Sky Sovereign, we've always been communicating in the group. This time, we've finally seen you in person. Not to mention, he's as handsome and manly as I thought. Yi Zichen put on a fake smile and said, "Don't worry. All right, it's not the first time we've chatted, so there's no need for compliments. You're tired of talking, and I'm tired of listening. Did Yang Jian tell you to come to find me?" "That's right." Yulao nodded and smiled. "Then I have a question for you." This question had troubled Yi Zichen for a long time, but he had always been afraid of getting the answer he didn't want, so he didn't dare to ask Yulao on his phone. "Go ahead. If one party dies, will the marriage string break?" As he asked this question, Yi Zichen's body trembled slightly. He stared at Yulao and clenched his fists. Yes. The existence of the marriage string tied two people together. If one of them died, then the marriage string would naturally break. If the marriage string isn't broken, does that mean that neither of them is dead? Of course. Yulao replied with a firm tone. Dong. Yi Zichen's legs went limp the moment he heard that, causing him to immediately lean against the wall behind him. He took out his phone and opened the treasure chest. The first row of the treasure chest was filled with marriage strings. Su Yan's, Xia Kik's. The most important one was Xiao Yumei's. Xiao Yumei's marriage string was still lying in the treasure chest, and did not disappear. Not dead, not dead. Yi Zichen's eyes couldn't help but turn red when he said that. Back in the modern realm, Xiao Yumei had suddenly disappeared into thin air. Due to that situation, he had thought that she had died. However, after arriving in the three realms, he noticed that Xiao Yumei's marriage string was still there when he tidied up his treasure chest. From that moment onwards, Yi Zichen had been troubled by that question. He wanted to ask, but he didn't dare to. This time, he finally mustered up the courage to ask the question. In the end, not dead. Yi Zichen looked up and laughed. He had been suppressing it for so long. But Yulao's answer made him feel a lot more relaxed. Sky Sovereign. Yulao stood on the side in confusion. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a smile, then wiped away the tears in his eyes. What happened? Nothing, Yulao shook his head. At that moment, Yi Zichen was still immersed in his joy. If the marriage string didn't break, then it meant that Xiao Yumei was still alive. Then it meant that Xiao Yumei was still alive somewhere in a certain realm. Chapter 480. Breakthrough to the human immortal realm. Xiao Yumei's news greatly improved Yi Zichen's mood, so he found a nearby restaurant and ordered a table of food. You mean you want to open up all the other factories? He picked up a mouthful of the restaurant's signature duck liver and tossed it into his mouth. Because the food here was not as seasoned as the modern world, the taste was much worse. Well, even if we can't fully open it, at least open the clothing factory. Yulao rubbed his hands together, and his eyes shone with the golden light of a businessman. Everyone loves beauty. The customer base of the clothing factory isn't just limited to the women of the heavenly court, those men will also buy. Your thinking is a little too simple. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile. According to his many years of experience in the modern realm, when it came to clothing sales, the majority of the sales naturally belonged to women and children. How about this? We'll do as you said. Except for the chemical plant and the home appliance plant, all the other factories will start operating. All right, I'll go back and arrange it as soon as possible. Yulao nodded excitedly. Ever since he interacted with Yi Zichen, the old man felt that doing business was a fascinating industry. Compared to his matchmaking, it was much better. Oh right, does the heavenly court lack entertainment facilities? Entertainment facilities. Yulao was a bit confused. He didn't really understand what Yi Zichen was trying to say. If it was just for fun, they could play cards or something in their spare time, Forget it, you definitely won't understand what I'm telling you. Let's talk about these problems later. When you return to the heavenly court, look for Stone Fairy and ask her to make some time to come down here. I have some things that I want to discuss with her in person. Yu Lao nodded, then picked up the duck liver that Yi Zichen had just eaten. "Tsk, the seasoning is so lousy." Yi Zichen muttered and put down his chopsticks. Then he raised his eyebrows. "Say, what do you think if those snacks and stuff were to flow from the heavenly court to here?" After Yu Lao returned to the heavenly court, Yi Zichen didn't know where to go, so he returned to the manor. As soon as they entered the courtyard, the dense spiritual energy caused the pores on their bodies to open up. Zuemo had done a good deed. Her investment had allowed the villagers of Spiritual Breeze Village to bask in the glory. He wondered how Xueqi would feel when he returned and saw the longevity garden in this state. "Smile, Tian Tian, you only know how to smile." At this moment, Xiao Yu wrinkled her nose and walked over. She subconsciously turned around to look at her, only to find that this woman was glaring at her unkindly. This woman had not been nice to him since the previous night. Yi Zichen asked if he had done anything to piss her off. "Then if I don't laugh, should I cry? Big sister, are you going out? Who's your big sister? Am I that old?" Xiao Yu glared at him with her hands on her waist. When Yi Zichen saw that he had said something wrong, he quickly corrected himself. "Sister, are you going out? Who's your little sister?" "Lil," Yu interrupted him again. This time, Yi Zichen was a bit speechless. He tilted his head and looked at Lil Yu's angry expression, then raised his eyebrows. "You women are so hard to understand. Then how do you want me to call you?" "Don't call me." With that, Xiao Yu angrily swung her arm and disappeared. "Ridiculous." Yi Zichen shrugged, then returned to his room. Lying on the bed, he took out his phone and opened his social media app. In less than 10 seconds, old Lord Taishang sent him a red packet. The barrier-breaking pill arrived? Yi Zichen quickly accepted the red packet. "You received old Lord Taishang's red packet. Barrier-breaking pill X7. Why is there only 7? I clearly gave him 10 blades of grass. This geezer actually dared to embezzle." "Oh wow, you received it rather quickly." Old Lord Taishang sent a message over. Yi Zichen smiled. "Embezzler? How am I embezzling?" Old Lord Taishang sat on the rocking chair leisurely, while the servant beside him was cleaning up the pill refinement room. "Why is there only 7? Shouldn't there be 10? Are you for real? Do you think that my success rate is 100%? This is a barrier-breaking pill. You can't find anyone in the 3 realms that has a success rate of more than 50%. Old Lord Taishang rolled his eyes. Yi Zichen chuckled. "Fine, I believe you. Come and find me when you have time. I'm under the heavenly court of the 3 realms right now. But you're ridiculous, I have to go and break through." Hey, wait a moment. Old Lord Taishang sent Yi Zichen another message. What he did not know was that Yi Zichen had already eaten a barrier-breaking pill and entered the old dragon god's subdimension. Yi Zichen sat cross-legged. The words of the dragon god's secret manual flashed across his eyes like a slideshow. At the same time, the effects of the barrier-breaking pill also started to take effect, causing waves of surging spiritual energy to help him break through the barrier between the Earth Immortal and Human Immortal levels. Is he breaking through to the Human Immortal level? This is the Sky Immortal level, right? The old dragon god couldn't help but gasp when he felt the spiritual energy around Yi Zichen. The amount of spiritual energy needed to break through to the Human Immortal level is way too huge. Even though Yi Zichen has cultivated the dragon race's secret manual, which makes it harder for him to break through compared to normal people, it shouldn't require so much spiritual energy, right? Not long later, a whirlpool of spiritual energy appeared around Yi Zichen. The whirlpool rapidly absorbed the spiritual energy in the subdimension, and from the looks of it, it seemed like it was going to suck all the spiritual energy in the area dry. In order to prevent Yi Zichen from breaking through due to a lack of spiritual energy, the old dragon god intentionally released a huge amount of spiritual energy from his body to help him take that step. Ha! Following Yi Zichen's shout, the surrounding spiritual energy became even more berserk. Boom! A beam of golden light shot up from the top of Yi Zichen's head. At the same time, the spiritual energy whirlpool disappeared, and Yi Zichen slowly opened his eyes. At that moment, his body involuntarily radiated an aura of looking down on the world. He squinted his eyes and felt the power that the human immortal level brought him. Soon, the demon realm, soon. Even though Yi Zichen knew that Xiao Yumei was still alive, there was no way he would let the demons go. The grudge between them ran too deep, and there was no room for reconciliation at all. Brat, hurry up and *CK off if you broke through. This old man still needs to rest, the old dragon god cursed. Yi Zichen looked at him gratefully. He didn't think that he would need so much spiritual energy even with the help of the barrier-breaking pill during the process of breaking through. He could only frantically absorb the surrounding spiritual energy, but he noticed that there wasn't enough of it. Yi Zichen panicked a bit. Fortunately, he quickly felt a surge of spiritual energy pass towards him. If there was no surprise, then it was the old dragon god. Thank you, I will send you back to the dragon race as soon as possible. Hurry up and leave. Why is it so annoying to see you? The old dragon god pushed Yi Zichen out with a wave of his sleeve. Yi Zichen, who was sitting on the bed, opened his eyes and saw that the sky had already gradually darkened. Just as he was about to test out the human immortal level power, the door to his room was pushed open. Chapter 481. Break off an engagement. Xuelon. Yi Zichen thought that he was hallucinating when he saw the girl standing in front of his door. He rubbed his eyes with his hands, and after confirming that the little girl was really Xuelon, he jumped off the bed and walked over. Why are you back? Isn't it going to be the wedding soon? Cancelled. Xuelon maintained a faint smile on her face. Hearing that, Yi Zichen's mind went blank. Annulled the engagement? Actually, I don't feel anything. I've never seen him before, so I broke off the engagement. But my brother was quite angry, so he was the one who broke off the engagement. Breaking off the engagement, and it was on this end? Yi Zichen didn't quite understand, but he still patted the girl's shoulder with a smile. So be it. When the time comes, I'll find a better man for you. What are the 6 pavilions? When the time comes, I'll help you find a holy land. I know Zichengij treats me well. Xuelon forced a smile, but somehow, she burst into tears. It's just breaking off the engagement. What's the big deal? If he doesn't like me, then I won't like him either. Yi Zichen felt like there was a story behind this place when he heard Xuelon's mutterings. This didn't seem like what Stone had said. It seemed like Xuelon had met that man before, and she quite liked that man. Xiaolan, tell me the truth. What truth? I just came to see you. Alright, I'm going back to sleep. Lil Lan choked up as she said that. Yi Zichen grabbed her arm and shook his head. Don't try to cheat Chengu. Tell me the truth. Whoosh. Tears instantly flowed down uncontrollably, while Xuelon leaped into Yi Zichen's arms and cried. That guy clearly said that he would marry me, and he even said that he would take me away in style. He said it. But when I went there, he was already married to another woman. Liar. He's a big liar. Not long later, Xuelon's tears soaked through Yi Zichen's clothes. Yi Zichen raised his hand and patted her shoulder. Gradually, Lil Lan, who was in Yi Zichen's arms, also started to cry, and fell asleep in his arms. At the same time, Xueqi, Stone, and Xiao Yu hurried over. Xueqi let out a long sigh of relief when he saw Lan. Yi Zichen raised his hand to signal them to be quiet, then gently placed Lil Lan onto the bed, before telling them to leave the room. Xueqi, what's going on? Yi Zichen knitted his eyebrows the moment they walked out. Stone also nodded. Yeah, why did you come back? Actually, I didn't want to say it. Xueqi's expression darkened. Originally, I was going to send Lil Lan over, but when I got there, that brat Luo Ji was already married. At that time, I was furious and asked him why, but he told me that he wanted Xiao Lan to be his concubine. Without hesitation, I broke off the engagement and brought Xiao Lan back. When Xueqi said this, he became angry again. Clearly, the situation back then wasn't as simple as he made it out to be. Damn, this brat actually wants Xiaolan to be his concubine. Stone was the first to glare at him and curse loudly. That little bastard is really fucking tired of living, isn't he? Old Xue, why didn't you give him 2 slaps back then? You think I don't want to, but how would I dare? Xueqi clenched his fists tightly. How could he not be angry when his sister was treated like this? He also wanted to avenge his sister, but Luo Ji should have a great perfection spiritual body, and the people around him wouldn't let him get beaten up. Stone also fell silent. Just because he was stubborn didn't mean he was brainless. In someone else's territory, especially in the 6 pavilions, how was it possible to hit their people? Forget it, I'll just take it as seeing a person clearly. I've seen a lot of people who try to curry favor with powerful people in the past 20 years. He was able to become an inner sect disciple because his wife was an elder's daughter. Humph, he thinks he can live a good life, but he will suffer in the future. Xueqi narrowed his eyes and sneered, then raised his eyebrows. What worried me was that it was useless for me to break off the engagement verbally. That brat, Luo Ji, said that he was going to break off the engagement personally. The girl who got her engagement cancelled. Why should he be the one to break off the engagement? Yi Zichen suddenly interrupted Xueqi. Why can't we be the ones to break off the engagement? Do you think I don't want to? Xueqi raised his eyebrows angrily. I want to as well. But they're from the 6 pavilions, how can I break off the engagement? I'll definitely break off the engagement for Lil Lan. 6 pavilions? Who the F***ck is he? Yi Zichen's gaze darkened. When the surrounding people saw his expression, they couldn't help but be stunned. Yi Zi, I know you're doing this for Lil Lan's sake, but we. Xueqi stopped. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth and snorted. Don't think too highly of the 6 pavilions, and don't look down on us too much. Everyone is equal in this world, so why should they be one level higher than us? Did they grow wings? You guys might not know, but Lil Lan actually knows that Lil Luo Ji. No? So that's how it is. Just as everyone raised their eyebrows in shock, only Xueqi nodded in understanding. I'll say it now. Our Lil Lan must be the one to break off the engagement. Lil, you had already carried Xue Lan away, while Yi Zichen laid on the bed and stared at the ceiling. It seems like I'm going to break off the engagement as well. I wonder if I'll be able to get a Xiao Yan out of it. However, he doesn't seem like Xiao Yan at all. He even needs the help of women in order to climb up the ladder. The 6 pavilions definitely have a solid foundation since they're able to become one of the peak powers in this area. Yi Zichen couldn't just go and blow up their mountain. Wouldn't it be very awkward if a sky immortal came and instantly killed him? He had to make all preparations before going. One of them was allies. Out of the people he knew, the only person who could suppress the 6 pavilions to not dare to resist was that woman. Zuomo. If it wasn't for Lil Lan, he really didn't want to have any contact with her. Great Tao of Heaven's Birth, activate. He locked onto Zuomo. Whoosh. A smoky scene appeared in front of Yi Zichen's eyes. When he took a closer look, ahem. It seems like I'm looking at the wrong time. At that moment, Zuomo was bathing naked. She scratched her head and prepared to close the great Tao of Heaven's Birth. Who is it? Suddenly, Zuomo grabbed the towel and covered her body with it. At the same time, she looked around with a frown. It can't be, she can actually sense it. Yi Zichen's expression drastically changed. Only the Jade Emperor had noticed it after so long, but this woman, speak! Who are you? How dare you spy on me bathing? Don't think you'll be fine if you don't speak. Our pagoda's strength is far beyond your imagination. If I catch you, I'll dig your eyes out. Yi Zichen scratched his nose and couldn't help but mutter, "What's wrong with you? How fierce!" However, as soon as he said this, Zhuo pursed her lips and snorted. Chapter 482. Chapter 482. Cooperation. Yi Zichen frantically sat up from the bed when he heard Zhuo's soft chuckle. "She's talking to me, right?" Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and muttered. In the image, Zhuo had already put on her bathrobe. She walked over to the living room and sat down. "Stop muttering, I'm talking to you. You're spying on me so late at night. Do you have ulterior motives?" "How did you hear me?" Yi Zichen, who sat on the bed, replied blankly. "That shouldn't be the case. My voice shouldn't be able to reach Zhuo. A master found me and gave me a magic treasure." Zhuo smiled and raised her eyebrows. "He told me that you might come looking for me tonight. I didn't believe him at the time, but I didn't expect it to be true." System. The first thing Yi Zichen thought of when Zhuo mentioned a master was the system. The secret scripture of the great Tao of Heaven's birth was given to him by the system. If Zhuo was able to detect his spying and talk to him, then everything makes sense. Just what does this guy want to do? Achoo! A rather skinny man covered his nose and sneezed on top of a towering mountain. He raised his eyebrows inexplicably, then cast his gaze towards another mountain peak. Those ancient eyes were filled with sadness. Anyone who saw those eyes would feel their heart ache. "I'm going back. I wonder if I'll be able to make it in time." The system seemed to have the ability to predict the future. No matter what I do, it would know in advance. Yi Zichen knew that some people who are skilled in the art of divination could predict the future, but the system can't always predict my future, right? Is there something wrong with this guy's boredom? "Hey Yi Zichen, you should still be there, right?" Zhuo spoke up once again. Yi Zichen let out a soft sigh and raised his eyebrows. "I'm here." "Say it. Just what are you spying on me so late at night for? I can understand if you say that you're drooling over my beauty. Young people are full of vigor." Zhuo's words caused Yi Zichen to roll his eyes. He licked his lips and raised his eyebrows. "Don't be too narcissistic. Don't be too narcissistic. There are plenty of people more beautiful than you. The reason I'm looking for you so late at night is because I want to discuss a collaboration. Cooperate." It was already noon the next day when Yi Zichen and Zhuo finally met up. They had agreed to meet at a restaurant under the treasure tower. Since Zhuo was the young lady of the treasure tower, no one dared to disturb them. "Before we talk about the cooperation you mentioned, I have a question for you." Zhuo twirled her hair and smiled. "Ask." For some reason, Yi Zichen felt like getting angry whenever he saw this woman. Perhaps in their previous lives, the two of them would feel annoyed whenever they saw her. "How's my figure?" "Pooh." She spat out every single drop of water she drank. Zhuo immediately tried to avoid it, but even so, her chest was still damp. "Man, can you put away your tricks? To be honest, if it wasn't because I haven't been in the Three Realms for long, I really don't want to have anything to do with a woman like you." Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and snorted. "Cut the bullshit. This is my sincerity for cooperation." Yi Zichen placed a jade bottle on the table. "Pill." Zhuo raised her eyebrows, then picked up the jade bottle and opened the stopper. The room was instantly filled with the fragrance of medicine. Just one whiff of it would make one feel extremely comfortable. If you want the effects of the barrier-breaking pill to weaken, then you can keep the stopper open like this. Seriously, are you mocking me? What is our treasure tower? This is a barrier-breaking pill? Zhuo, who acted like the treasure tower had everything just a second ago, opened her mouth so wide that an egg could fit in it. This is a barrier-breaking pill that can be taken when a human immortal breaks through to the sky immortal level? Zhuo asked again in disbelief. Yi Zichen nodded. "Yes, it is. This is my sincerity for cooperation. I wonder who told me before that he wasn't a pill refiner." Z's barrier-breaking pill. I don't want to bullshit with you too much. This is my sincerity. If you can satisfy me, then I will give you another barrier-breaking pill. Here? I don't think that's a good idea. Who would have thought that Zwo would say something like that? Her eyes were filled with love, and her cheeks were rosy. If you're still joking like this, I think our cooperation can end here. Just how big of a hole did this woman's brain have to be to think of something like that? Yi Zichen was certain that she'd done it on purpose. What's wrong? Didn't you say you wanted me to satisfy you? Actually, if you really like me, you can go to the treasure tower and ask for my hand in marriage. My father is not a profiteer. As long as you are motivated, he will agree with us. As for now, I'll satisfy you after we get married, okay? Although I'm not an old-fashioned person, I'm still. Return the pill to me. I don't want to have any more interactions with you, Gemini constellation. Yi Zichen raised his hand. Zwo replied in confusion. What is Gemini? She shrugged helplessly when she noticed that Yi Zichen's expression had truly darkened. What a boring person. Zwo pursed her lips and shrugged. All right, I'll talk to you properly from now on. Tell me your conditions. I'm rather curious just what kind of cooperation is worth 2 barrier-breaking pills. Yi Zichen revealed his plan while the woman was still rather normal. The Azure Sky Pavilion actually wants to become enemies with one of the 6 pavilions for a girl. You're very courageous. What? Is that girl someone you like? That has nothing to do with you, Yi Zichen replied coldly. What you need to do is to provide me with support. I'm merely providing people to hold the fort in case the opponent's high-leveled combatants ambushed me. It seems like I earned 2 barrier-breaking pills. Zwo put away the barrier-breaking pills with a smile, then stood up from the chair and reached out her hand towards Yi Zichen. Happy cooperation. After the negotiation, Yi Zichen prepared to return. However, for some reason, Zwo insisted on going with him. To put it nicely, she wanted to see the guest chamberlains she left there. A woman's thoughts were hard to guess, especially a Gemini woman like her, who would act up from time to time. Since Yi Zichen couldn't chase her away, all he could do was ignore her. When Yi Zichen arrived at the Manor of Longevity, he noticed several spiritual beast carriages parked outside. The Spiritual Breeze Village definitely couldn't afford a carriage of this level. An esteemed guest has come. Zwo smiled meaningfully, while Yi Zichen's gaze instantly darkened. Esteemed guest. Chapter 483. Shameless Luoji, don't go too far. Xue Qi's hands trembled as he pointed at the white-robed man in front of him. This kind of clothing represented his identity. Azure Sky Pavilion, an inner disciple. Beside him were 2 old men. These 2 were the Azure Sky Pavilion's guest chamberlains. Their purpose for coming here was simple, to ensure Luoji's safety. At the same time, he could threaten them with force if necessary. Brother Xue, if you think I'm going too far, then I have nothing to say. The hook-nosed Luoji pursed his lips and chuckled. His pitch-black eyes were filled with ridicule. Since ancient times, it has always been men who divorce women. When have you ever heard of a woman divorcing a man? Luoji, there's no need to be so ruthless. It's not like you don't know how much of an impact a woman's engagement being broken off would have on her. Xue Qi's eyes narrowed into slits. If it wasn't for the fact that he wasn't strong enough, he would have slapped Luoji. Aren't you being a little selfish? If the man is rejected by the woman, the impact will be even greater. In the past tens of thousands of years in the 3 realms, there has never been a woman withdrawing from a man. If I let you withdraw from me, where would I put my face? Are you sure you still have the face? At that moment, Yi Zichen walked over with a smile. When he passed by Luoji, he purposely paused for a moment and looked at him carefully. You look like you have a kidney deficiency. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Take good care of your wife when you go back. Otherwise, there might be green moss growing on your head. Yi Zichen snorted, then walked past him to Xue Qi's side. Zuemo also raised her eyebrows. She pouted at him, then walked over. Brat, why am I so proud of your words? Stone gave Yizichin a thumbs up. Shueqi also nodded. Don't worry. You're back. How can I not come back when there are honored guests at home? Yizichin smiled, then snorted as he looked at Luo Ji's red face. What did this grandson come for? To cancel the engagement? I've never seen anyone from the spiritual breeze village before. After a long while, to everyone's surprise, Luo Ji wasn't angered by Yizichin's words, and continued to answer rationally. It seemed that this kid was quite shrewd, no wonder he could climb into the bed of the elder's daughter. Don't act like you're very familiar with the spiritual breeze village. What, are you trying to establish a relationship now? Tell you what, it's too late. Xiaolan, I'm definitely going to divorce you this time, so don't suck up to me anymore, okay? With that, Yizichin turned around and said, Don't worry. Where's Xiaolan? I told Lil Yu to chat with Lil Lan. She shouldn't know that Luo Ji came over yet, Shueqi replied softly. Yizichin nodded. It was good that she was not allowed to come. She did not want to waste her tears on this scumbag. Trying to establish a relationship? Are you dreaming? Luo Ji also let out a long laugh at this moment. He was an inner disciple of the Azure Sky Pavilion, one of the 6 pavilions, and the son-in-law of the pavilion's great elder. Yet, someone actually said that he wanted to curry favor with them. He checked Yizichin's strength. False spiritual body. This kind of person didn't belong to the same world as him at all. There was no need to get angry with him. He could just stay here and talk. He came here to divorce Xuelan, so all he had to do was to do what he had to do. Luo Ji signaled the guest chamberlain beside him with his eyes, causing the black-robed guest chamberlain to take out the divorce letter that he had prepared beforehand. I don't want to waste my breath on you country bumpkins. Divorce letter. Look carefully. Xuelan, I, Luo Ji, am divorcing her. Luo Ji, don't you think that your words are ridiculous? Didn't you come from the countryside? At that moment, Xuelan walked over with a mocking smile. She raised her hand to pick up the divorce letter from the ground and read it carefully. Not bad. It seems like you learned quite a bit after coming to the Azure Sky Pavilion. Why did you bring it for her? Shueqi pulled Lil Yu. He was afraid that something like this would happen, which was why he arranged for her to accompany Xuelan. What can I do? This girl noticed it herself. Lil Yu bit her lips and frowned. Luo Ji, I, Xuelan, was blind. Since you have a wife now, then you can live your life. The engagement is just a joke between the 2 parents. There's no need for us to make such a big deal out of it, right? At that moment, Xuelan's tone was completely different from her usual self. Luo Ji was stunned, as if he did not understand why Xuelan would say something like that. However, he quickly revealed a mocking smile. It's all your fault. You were the one who went to the Azure Sky Pavilion to find me. All right, I was wrong. Xuelan pursed her lips with a smile and nodded. I really don't know who was the one who was so excited that he couldn't sleep for several days after finding out about our engagement. Luo Ji, our engagement is null and void. Let's end it here, how about it? No, Jinhua said that I must divorce you. Xuelan, it's already been so long, just help me one more time. The arena had already become a battlefield for the 2 of them. Xuelan, who had remained calm the entire time, trembled slightly when she heard these words. Wow, people can actually be so shameless. Yizichin, who was unable to hold it in any longer, suddenly laughed. Yizichin, who couldn't hold it in any longer, suddenly laughed. He took 2 steps forward and pulled Xuelan behind him. Kid, don't be everywhere. For Xuelan's sake, I'm already being extremely merciful by not attacking you. Luo Ji said darkly. Yizichin raised his eyebrows with a smile. You're saying that not attacking me is kindness? Then I really have to thank you, but I'm going to attack you now. Bang. A simple punch landed directly on Luo Ji's face. The movement was so fast that even the two foreign chamberlains beside him didn't have time to react. Zichen Ji! Xuelon immediately exclaimed. At the same time, the two guest chamberlains also came back to their senses at this time, only to discover that Luo Ji's mouth was already bleeding. Just as the guest chamberlain was about to make a move, Luo Ji raised his hand to stop him. "I've made my move. Yuan Feng, what do you think?" Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with his hands in his pockets. Luo Ji used his finger to wipe away the blood at the corner of his mouth, then smiled sinisterly. He was actually beaten. For a moment, he was also enraged, and the spirit energy of a great perfection spiritual body was instantly released from his body. "Yi, come back!" Xueqi also frowned. The strength of a great perfection spiritual body was not something that a false spiritual body like Yi Zichen could deal with. However, no matter how Xueqi shouted, Yi Zichen maintained his smile and stood on the spot like he was watching a monkey. "Seriously," Xueqi panicked, and quickly went up to pull Yi Zichen back. However, to everyone's surprise, a terrifying pressure was released from Yi Zichen's body.